Day number 2 of fun, live from Twin Peaks in Hoover. Landry Roberts, Pat Smith, Molly Robinson anchoring things from the studio of Jocks 94.5. Day 2, plenty to discuss from day 1, but Pat, this is my second favorite day of this time of year. We get day 2 of the tournament, and we had some compelling games from the early part of yesterday into late in the evening, and then today, with the Alabama Crimson Tide, Mississippi State from the SEC getting going early, should be another fun day of action.
Yeah, so the SEC goes 4-3 after day 1 and 2, if you include the first 4. So 7 teams have been participating in the tournament. 4-3 right now. We've got the remaining 7 teams in action today, so we'll see if they fare a little bit better in regards to what's going on. We've got a lot to get into in a very short period of time because you got Alabama will be tipping off in the next 2 hours, and so we'll be able to follow that here live from Twin Peaks as we're here until 2 o'clock. But we start with the Auburn game yesterday, Landrum. Auburn in the first half, it was one that you could tell Bruce Pearl was pretty frustrated after the game. Auburn led by 13. Then Alabama State cut it to 1. And then Auburn was able to take over there right in the last 2-3 minutes of the first half. They had a 6-0 run. So they had the 10-point lead at halftime. But it was very disjointed in the first half. Outside of Miles Kelly, you could tell that whether it was what Alabama State was running defensively or Auburn just came out of the gate really, really slow, it was a very frustrating first half for Bruce Pearl and the Tigers.
Yeah, a lot for me to take away from this game, and Auburn getting the win and ultimately advancing to the next round, that's always the goal. So hear me out, Auburn fans, but I think a lot of you will probably share the same sentiment. I was expecting with this team kind of refocusing and recentering their energy towards playing their best basketball, and for Bruce Pearl's sake and Auburn's sake, for the next 6 games. I saw a team that I think lacked emotion. I think they looked lethargic at times. Some of the lazy passes, the lazy catches, just discombobulated with the offense. I know Bruce Pearl talked about uncharacteristic shots in certain situations and certain sets that weren't designed for those particular shots. Meanwhile, I don't want to take anything away from Alabama State. Alabama State was a quick, very athletic, aggressive team, and they took it to Auburn. But if you were looking for that ringing endorsement for Auburn, I didn't see it yesterday. And I told somebody I kind of felt like I watched Auburn lose that game, and that's not fair because they won by 20. But there were so many things that they can do better that they did not do yesterday.
All right, let's hear from Bruce Pearl. This was his assessment after the win yesterday at Rupp Arena.
Miles was terrific. Tahad was terrific at times. Janai dominated on the inside when he had to. But we can play, trust me, we can play, and we'll need to play a lot better. We missed 14 free throws. We made 18, and that's going to catch us in a close game. These next games got a chance to be closer, so we got to, sharpen up in that area. And that's part of that is valuing possessions. And if there's one thing I can get my guys from this point forward to lock into right now, did we value every possession on the defensive end? Did we value it on the offensive end, scoring through contact, or we just rely on the whistle? And then would we finish plays? And that's the biggest difference right now between the way we were playing earlier in the season and the way we're playing right now. And you can do that against a team that you're better than, but you can't do that. We won't be able to do that from this point forward.
There's no question about that. Miles Kelly, 23 points. He hit 7 3-pointers. Pettiford threw in 16. Broome had the double-double with 14 and 11.
Yeah, he mentioned the free throws, but if there's a stat that folks hear about, it's assist-to-turnover ratio. And yesterday, Auburn, 16 assists, 12 uncharacteristic turnovers. Now, you said, well, what's that ratio? That's almost a 1-to-1. What you're looking for is a 3-to-1 ratio. You want to have 3 times as many assists as you do turnovers. So if that's 4 turnovers, you need to have 12 assists. Yesterday, the 16 assists and the 12 turnovers, that will not cook against this Creighton team that they're going to face. So Auburn, Bruce Pearl, the players saying all the right things after the game, but does that carry through to the guys saying it? Does that carry through to other guys? Chad Baker-Mazar, they're going to have him. And yesterday, what I saw from Chad Baker-Mazar was he didn't get in trouble. There could have been one where he tied up with an Alabama State player on the baseline. You saw Bruce Pearl thanking the official for how he kind of let it go. but they're going to have him. And I didn't like his body language yesterday. I felt like he was very passive. I saw him kind of cutting up on the bench when Auburn was only up by 1 there before they went on the 9-0 run at the start of the first half. Maybe that's his personality, but it caught my attention at least.
Well, one thing's for sure. I mean, yesterday during the first hour of the show, we're sitting here and we're following the Creighton game, and Creighton is shooting 56 to 58% from the three-point line. That is something you better pay very close attention to tomorrow. I'm not saying that Creighton is going to come out and shoot that well against Auburn's defense, but it's something that you got to pay attention to. Let's listen to Bruce Pearl on his thoughts quickly after the game yesterday about the upcoming opponent, Creighton.
Creighton is a still very veteran team that they've been through it. They're not going to beat themselves. We'll have a great game plan together, but it's going to be a very, very tough second round for us.
No doubt. Areas for me to clean up. Free throws, you mentioned it.
Ooh.
They shot 56% from the free throw line yesterday. They missed 14 free throws. Broom has been awful the last 2 games. He is 9 of 21 from the charity stripe the last 2 games. And Auburn missed 14 three-pointers yesterday. You got to have a better percentage. I mean, you shot 31% from the three-point line. And I know I'm being picky here. I picked Auburn to win the national championship.
No, and I'm going to be critical too because I have them in my Final Four.
And so, but you have got to shoot better than 56% from the free throw line and 31% from the three-point line, or you're going to be out by the Sweet 16.
Well, I started looking, so I was looking at the 20-point win for Auburn and being the 1 seed, and we've had the one that has been upset. But typically you get blowouts in the first round, so I started looking at the other 1 seed in Houston, and they won comfortably over SIU Edwardsville by 38 points. And then I started looking at past number 1 seeds in their opening round games and margin of victory. Just kind of one of those, wormholes that you go down. And I look back in 2023 when Alabama was the 1 seed and played here at, was it 2023 or 2022?
When they played Corpus Christi.
Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Alabama won that game by 21 points. What happened? Alabama eventually made it to the Sweet 16 and they were eliminated. And started going through some different years of teams that had done that, and 21 just happened to be that number. So it's not always telling, but at least in the past few years, those teams that have struggled a little bit, or air quotes struggled, in their opening round games that were 1 seeds and not just blowing the doors off of their opponents, it has been the norm rather than the exception of those teams not making it ultimately to the Final Four. Now, how much that correlates to this year's Auburn team, different players, different coach, different opponents, probably not. I just thought it was very interesting. It is interesting, though, Baylor, the year that they won their national championship, they struggled a little bit in their opening round game, and then they won their next 5 en route to a national title. So what all that means, I don't know. That just means that Landrum had been watching a lot of basketball. And he decided to really take a deep dive and nerd out last night.
Very nice. Well, the Tigers are now 12-2 in opening round games of the NCAA tournament. Auburn is also 20-13 all-time in NCAA tournaments, including 8-5 under Bruce Pearl. So Auburn improves to 29-5 on the season. So they will play the 9-seed Creighton coming up on Saturday. So we will wait and see what happens there. Meanwhile, the rest of yesterday's action, as I mentioned, the fact that the SEC now 4-3 in the tournament. Auburn over Alabama State. Tennessee defeats Wofford. Chaz Lanier goes for 29 points. Arkansas beats Kansas.
What a game.
Hogs had a late 7-0 run. Cal versus Patino tomorrow. That should be very entertaining. Texas A&M defeats Yale. I know a lot of people had Yale as being that team that potentially could pull an upset. Furl Payne for Texas A&M. He averages just 9 points a game. He goes for 25 against Yale, so that was big for the Aggies. Meanwhile, the teams from the SEC that disappointed, you have to put Mizzou on the top of your list. I mean,
okay. Mizzou, yes. But can we start with Georgia?
Well, here's the thing. So I did a radio interview this morning, and they asked me about this, and I said, look, yeah, it was very disappointing that Georgia was not competitive against Gonzaga.
They were down 27-3.
They were down 13-0.
Yeah, and then 27-3.
Yeah. I mean, the game was over with immediately, And not that I had Georgia going far at all, but Missouri, the type of team that they are and some of the wins that they were able to have, and then, you just absolutely let Drake beat you at your own game.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that was so shocking. And that's not only from me watching it. I mean, that's from people in the St. Louis metropolitan area that covered the team, whether it's Eli Hoff, Bernie Michaelis, or any of those guys. I mean, they were calling it very early on that Drake just came out and did exactly what Missouri tries to do. But when Caleb Grill, who's playing in his hometown of Wichita, Kansas, he goes 1 for 7 from the three-point line and only has 14 points, you know that they're in trouble. So, yeah, to me it was Missouri having that high seed and not being able to take care of business.
If you're watching that game, Drake was dominating it for the first half and then early part of the second half. And there is no reason the way that the lack of outside shooting, Caleb Grill and some other guys that they usually depend on for scoring, that Missouri should have been in that game. Drake should have just run away with it. The reason that they were able to hang around and make it competitive is free throws. I texted you. At one point, I think the score was 52-48, Drake on top of Missouri. Was it 18 of Missouri's 48 points to that point had been free throws. Mm-hmm. So they were able to get to line and knock down some of those free throws, just kind of going back to being able to make some of those and Auburn needing them, especially against Creighton and moving forward. But that's how Missouri was able to stay in that game. But I was disappointed like you. Missouri just did not – they kind of petered out towards the end of the season. For whatever reason, they petered out and were not playing their best basketball.
They pretty much maxed when they beat Alabama at home.
Yeah, it was – they had some really good wins. They beat Alabama at home. They go to Florida, and they win in the Swamp, which against that Florida team, super impressive. They were competitive in almost every game that they played this year. But, no, they were not playing their best basketball at the end of the stretch. But give credit to Drake, and Drake is a team that I was adamant, I'm not going to take Drake. I've been burned on Drake so many times. That's why you need to separate past years. I did the same thing with McNeese yesterday, and you saw what happened against Clemson.
Yeah, and it's a great segue because McNeese became the 47th number 12 seed to win a first-round game since 1979, and in the process won its first-ever NCAA tournament game by beating Clemson. McNeese held the Tigers to 13 points in the first half. 13. And, of course, the big story is what's going to happen with Will Wade now moving forward. And listen, I mean, he was so fired up yesterday.
Going up in the stands?
Jumping in the stands and hugging every big booster that he could wring his neck.
I'm not saying that wasn't genuine. I believe it was genuine, but I also think that was a kind of a teaser or a promo video for the next fan base that he's going to be serving.
Think so?
Yeah.
Think so?
Oh, you're getting an energetic coach who's down to earth, and he's not that he wasn't happy, and that was a cool moment for McNeese. But I was sitting there watching my wife. He said, "Well, I told her part of this is the fan base that's going to be getting him, whether it's NC State or another school. Just saying, look at this guy. But heck of an accomplishment what he's been able to do."
No, listen, and because you tell that McNeese started playing tight there. The last 10 minutes.
You think they're up by 9 with a minute to go?
I mean, it's just like then all of a sudden Clemson decides that they're going to play. Well, what about Clemson's coach,
Brad Brownell?
I mean, how about the fact that he just got a contract extension through 2030 or 2031, and they're paying him like $5 million a year, and you go score 13 points in the first half.
Hey, man, his agent was smart. His agent's like, look, we got to make a decision tonight before this game with McNeese. We need to get this thing agreed upon and in principle. That's why you do that.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from Will Wade because he was asked post-game yesterday about his future because the rumors are out there, and he's not hiding from the fact that apparently he's going to be the next North Carolina State head coach, so he's saying it without officially saying it. He was asked about maybe the distractions of him potentially going somewhere else.
I mean, I've been focused on the game. I mean, they'll tell you. I mean, I've been on one about the game. I mean, so whatever else is happening, that's of no distraction to us. I know everybody else. I mean, thinks that there's distractions and stuff. We operate the same way all the time, and so we hadn't operated any differently. The walkthrough hadn't been. I mean, nothing's been any different. So, I mean, there hadn't been a lot of emotion. It's been narrow focus. The bigger the game, the narrower your focus, and it's been absolute narrow focus on winning our first NCAA tournament game at McNeese State and continuing to change. This is just huge for our school. Our enrollment's up 3%. Our applications are up 10%, and we've gotten freaking $25 million worth of free advertising the last couple weeks. Our stuff's going to go through the roof. It's going to change our area. It changes our 5 parish areas, changes everything. So, that's what our focus has been. And we've broken every record in the book. This was the last one to get. We want to keep this going.
It's interesting. He's talking about enrollment being up 3% because he's about to take 3% because he's going to take about 10 players with him to NC State. So that's going to take away from the enrollment.
And it did dawn on me that he was a Clemson grad.
Yes.
And so that was a really special game for him.
Yeah, he told everybody earlier in the week, he said, my players know that when Clemson's playing a football game on the weekends, we don't practice at McNeese. So I wonder if he'll have that same policy when he goes to Raleigh. We've got time for some calls, 1-800-239-WJOX. If you'd like to get on a call or two and discuss yesterday's first-round action, let's go to Hoover, not too far from where we are here at Twin Peaks in Hoover. Let's talk to our good friend Dave. Hey, Dave, good morning. Hope you're well.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I didn't watch Georgia. I was busy yesterday. I'm like, I know what's going to happen. They're going to get whacked. But, here's what I want. So last night I'm looking at the stat line, right? And I'm like, it's hard to believe. If you look at the stat line, all but 2 lines, you say they won the game.
Mm-hmm.
You look at rebounds, assists, steals are only down 1, blocks, points in the paint. They're up 32-22. Second chance points 22 versus 12. Fast break points were the same. Points off turnovers were close to the same. But you go up to shooting, Georgia was 21 for 60 from field goals. They were 33 of 60. 3-pointers, Georgia was 5 for 26, and they were 12 for 24. Gonzaga shot over 50% from the floor and from the 3-point line. There's your difference.
Yeah.
They just couldn't shoot the basketball.
Well, and to your point, go and look at the box score. Not that you're going to take time, but you're exactly right. Stats don't always tell the story. Go to Creighton and Louisville and look at their box score. And that was a Creighton team that beat Louisville by double digits and kind of controlled it and named it from middle of the first half on. Doesn't always tell the story. But for Georgia, I just hated it for fans like you that you'd waited so long for an NCAA tournament, and then within just a few minutes you realize, golly, man, this thing's over. You're down by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, you remember the year the tornado tore up the Georgia Dome?
Yeah.
And they had to go down and play at Georgia Tech, and Georgia, by some miracle, ended up winning, and they got in the tournament because they won the SEC, but then they got blown out in the first round. So, it is what it is. I had a friend of mine at Hamburger Heaven say, Dave, y'all got to pick up your basketball game. I said, yeah, well, we're a football school. We're Auburn's a basketball school.
Well, you would not be wrong these days. Yeah, you would not. Hey, but you know what? Those banners that they're going to hang in Stegman for the NCAA tournament. They don't have a results on them, so yeah, you'll always have that trip, that memory.
Yeah. Auburn will be good this year. I got confidence in them.
All right,
Thanks. Guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it.
Thank
you, Dave. Dave gave us a call from Hoover. That's where we are until 2 o'clock. We are day 2 here at Twin Peaks. Come on by and see us. We're set up in one of the large halls here in the ski lodge.
We're calling it the large hall?
The large hall.
The banquet hall?
How about that? And they've got some incredible deals going on right now. $3.97 for Miller Lite and Coors Light, 22 ounce. They've got that going on this weekend. And not to mention the fact that they've got any old number 7 Jack Daniels for $6. So come on out and get some great food, man. We had some fantastic wings and burgers here yesterday.
I was listening to it. I was headed to my engagement that I had, and I could smell it through the radio.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It's always good food.
Yep. So we hope to see you. Doors open up at 11. We're going to be here until 2 o'clock. More 3-man front on day 2 of March Madness. This is Jocks 94.5. It is 10:23. Jocks 94.5. Alabama is going to tip off at 11:40. We will have all the details of that game as Landrum and I, Molly. We will be able to give you the details of what's happening in that game as that will tip off at 11:40. Not sure how your brackets did yesterday, but if you like for entertainment purposes only, make a little profit here or there. The favorites went 12-4 straight up. 9-7 against the spread yesterday, so that's a 56% win percentage. 3 underdogs covered. Alabama State, Wofford, and North Carolina Wilmington all covered as underdogs. The under went 9-7 yesterday, so just something to think of moving forward.
Well, it feels like today maybe we have a little bit more chaos with some of the matchups, but who knows? Maybe chalk holds today as well. Our buddy JR, he is live from Vegas. He is with TakingVegas.com. He's going to give you the free pick on the air. There's nobody better that we could talk to this time of year. And before all the games get started and tip off on day 2 of the NCAA Tournament, he joins us now live from Vegas. JR, how are you, my friend?
Landrum, I'm doing outstanding, man. I am literally sitting on the Strip in Las Vegas right now inside the Aria Hotel. Got about only 3.5 hours sleep yet from last night. If that, which you're not supposed to sleep in Vegas. And I got to tell you, man, I could not be more pumped up and excited about what I've got happening today in the first round, day number 2. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I want everybody right now that's listening to text the word win to 545454. I'm going to give you a blowout winner, okay? And I mean a blowout. This game is going to be off by 17 to 24 points. And obviously college basketball, guys, and it's a game side. I'm not giving you a total. Absolute blowout. All you got to do, text the word win to 545454 and get it absolutely free. It'll come via text message. No hype, no hassle, none of that. Be an opportunity for you to, if you want to contact us in the text, you can. But let me give you the winner right away, free, via text message. Text win to 545454, and let's make it a tournament to remember.
Not only that, but you always give us a free pick on the air, which you will do so at the end or towards the end of our conversation. But I do want to know, just from someone who is so immersed in this, and you've watched so many National Collegiate Athletic Association basketball tournaments in your day, what was your big takeaway from day 1, JR?
Well, I think that there were some surprises and non-surprises. McNeese was definitely a big surprise to me. Obviously, Clemson playing the way they did was a bit of a surprise. I tell you what was a surprise, even though it was a cover for us. My big game yesterday was Texas A&M. Absolutely loved them. Thought they would run Yale out of the building. That game came down to, it was only a 9-point game. We covered. I got it in at -7 and 7.5. So everybody's happy that we won, but I did expect that to be an absolute annihilation. I did not think Yale, especially Ivy League team, having no competition all year, out-of-conference play was garbage. They lost to Harvard. They had no height on the inside against the A&M team that we really expected to dominate inside, be able to stop them on the outside. We thought it would be a 20 to 25-point blowout. But, we still got the W, right? That's all that matters. But I would say that was definitely a big surprise to me that Yale almost kept it within reach against A&M.
How much do you factor in when you see a really high seed like a 1 or a 2 struggle with an opponent or seem to struggle for a little bit of that first round game? How much of that affects, if they move on, how you break down and kind of surmise their second game? Do you separate them? Do you say, okay, this is a totally different day, totally different opponent? How does that work, especially in a tournament format for somebody like you?
Well, rule number one with what we do for a living, right? We talk about this all the time in our office. You need to be 2 things, soulless and emotionless. If you can't be those 2 things, then you're not going to win betting on sports. You cannot use a team, have them stick it to you 2 or 3 times in a row, and then everything points to using them again and say, oh, my God, that team's no good to me, and walk away. You've got to be emotionless about it. That's why we hit such a high percentage. I'm not afraid to use a team that's burned me, and I'm sure as heck not afraid to go against a team that's made me a ton of money. You can't have that kind of superstition or, this team's been good to me. This team hasn't been good to me. It's sort of like, a lot of folks yesterday, I think, were surprised about the Arkansas game, beating Kansas and Bill Self. And the way I look at Bill Self and that Kansas team, if they get through the first round, just ride them to the Final Four most of the time, right? Whereas if they get it's a good idea usually to go against them in the first round, or at least it has been in years past. So, I mean, there are a couple of things that are quirky when it comes to the tournament, and it is different. A lot of, obviously, real big-time out-of-conference games, which, I mean, don't get me wrong. When we start off college basketball, I'm slow in the beginning of the year. The out-of-conference schedule is not something that we go into with, a whole lot of vigor. We're looking for the conference play. We make a ton of money during conference play. However, when we get into the tournament, this is a time where, having been able to watch these conferences and which teams have dominated, and now, obviously all the injuries in place and having a good schedule to be able to compare, it makes it a whole lot easier. And this is where we do find those incredible mismatches, unbelievable mismatches. And some of them are where the line may be only 2 or 3 points, and we've got it at 12 to 15. Like there's a game today, like I mentioned before, that I believe the line's off by 17 to 24 points, and the line is only a single-digit line. So that's the one I'm giving everyone for free when they do text the word win to 545454. Even if I'm off by a little bit, I'm still going to be 7 to 10 points away from the point spread, sort of like that A&M yesterday against Yale. So I'm telling you that this game should be an absolute annihilation. And, year after year, guys, I've been doing this 30 years. I don't come to Vegas to lose. I'm out here because we do great. We've always done great during the tournament. Can I guarantee past performance on future results? Of course not. But I expect to win everything in sight. I always do. I'm looking to go 11-1 from here on out the rest of the tournament. So we're going to kick butt. I want to take care of guys, especially in Alabama. Been doing this interview with you forever, Landrum. So I like handling our business and taking care of guys in the area, whether they call us or not. So text the word win to 545454, and let me take care of you with this round one blowout winner in the tournament.
All right, start us off on this Friday in the right way. You give the free pick on the air. Your record speaks for itself. What is your free pick today?
Now, what is it, 4 or 5 in a row now, Landrum, I think, again on air? We got to be over 75%. I think last week also was NBA, right? Then we go Pistons. It was like a 50 or 60-point blowout winner. If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, listen, I'm going to stay in the tournament. It's not a sexy pick, but I don't care, okay? It's going over the posted total. I know you said that there was more unders than overs yesterday, but that will not apply today or to this game. North Carolina's playing Ole Miss. There will be very little defense in this game. The number is 155 to 155.5 right now. We have this scored at 167 to 172. So I absolutely love the over in the North Carolina Ole Miss game. Get all over it. I'm telling you right now, guys, that game really will be just running up and down the court, looking for somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 85 points per team, maybe even more. This is going to be very close to an NBA-type score. Well, I shouldn't say that, not these days, to scoring 235 points. But still, you're going to get well over 165 points in this game. North Carolina, Ole Miss go over that posted total. That's your free pick.
All right, one more time, tell people how they can get in touch with you.
First off, I'm going to apologize for sounding the way that I do. The Vegas air's got me clogged up like never before, and it's still only, right now over here, about 8:30 in the morning, and I've been up since 5 a.m. So we are here to make you money, guys. This is my dedication to everybody I work with. I work day and night tirelessly to bring you W's and great money management, which is so important right now. So text the word WIN to 545454. Take advantage of the free pick that's going to come to you via text message. No hype, no hassle. And do yourself a favor, sign up. If you're ever going to do business with us, get in now during the tournament, and let's make it a phenomenal tournament for everybody. So text WIN to 545454 right now, and let's start making some huge money. And as always, guys, be safe, have fun, and let's go out there and make some tournament money.
JR, as always, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And you said over in UNC and Ole Miss, and a lot of people will be tuned to that one this afternoon. JR, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
My pleasure as always. I appreciate you having me on, Landrum. You enjoy yourself and have a great weekend.
You as well. JR live from Vegas, takingvegas.com. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. The coach, Wim Sanderson. We will preview Alabama, Robert Morris, what he thought about yesterday, and some of the games coming up today. He is next. You don't want to miss Wimp on Jocks 94.5.
Welcome back in. It's three-man front, day 2 NCAA basketball tournament. We're live at Twin Peaks in Hoover. Pat Landrum, Molly, with you until 2 o'clock. We're so blessed each and every Friday during the whole year, not just basketball season, but the whole year, to be able to talk to Coach Wimp Sanderson. And it's brought to you each and every week by our friends at Craneworks. And joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, Coach Wimp Sanderson. Coach, I hope you're doing well on this beautiful Friday.
Hey, Pat, will you fire Landrum, please?
No.
Yeah.
No.
You want me to fire him?
Well, he didn't even. I thought I was pretty good on his show. Cranework likes it. I didn't even hear I was going to be on until 2 minutes before the show. Nobody even knew I was going to. I got calls and calls and calls saying you're not going to be on today. I said, you got
Landrum?
me. I got.
Why wouldn't you promote him?
He's a fixture on this show. I didn't think that I needed to promote it. But, Coach, I apologize. You are.
That's okay.
You are Mr. March.
I like you anyway.
Hey, Coach,
like
what was the biggest takeaway for you yesterday watching those 16 games?
Gosh, biggest takeaway, Arkansas.
Okay.
Kansas. If you're going to play, zone is a way to play against some teams, and Arkansas didn't know how to defend it. But Kansas' zone was terrible, and they still got back in the game. You can't walk through a zone. You got to teach it. Most people don't because they don't believe in it. But I picked Kansas in that game, and I thought Kansas would win it, and they didn't. And Arkansas has played a little bit better than I thought. Arkansas can live through the season, even though they got 5 straight losses to start the season. They can live through the season with a great win at Kentucky. So I would say that was the main thing yesterday that surprised me. Games are hard to pick. I will tell you, each game. Now listen to me, y'all. Each game takes its own personality.
Okay.
And the problem that you have in gambling is you don't know about that personality because you don't know whether they're ready to play.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Auburn was not ready to play. 32.5-point favorite. People jumped on the 32.5 points probably. You don't know because you're not with the team, and you've got a team that's been very, very good, and they're playing somebody, and they got a 32.5 point deal. Everybody, not just Auburn, everybody, anybody. Your kids sometimes are not ready to play. How they are mentally, which you don't know, is the way they're going to play physically every cotton picking time. Okay.
So you're telling me let's not put too much into what we saw yesterday from Auburn going into the game versus Creighton.
They better not. If they don't get the threes stopped, they don't get to contest the threes, they don't get back to the things they've been doing, then it may be 88 and out the gate. I'm not saying to you that Auburn's going to lose a game because yesterday was a different game. Today they may be totally ready to play, and if they're totally ready to play, they've got a good chance. If they're not totally ready to play, then they won't. I think you also look at the draws. I think Alabama got a great draw. I think Alabama's in the final, probably final 8 already. Now that they got to be ready to play. They're going to probably Vanderbilt's probably going to get beat, and they're going to play
St. Mary's
probably in the second game after this game today, and they got a good draw, and I think they're going to go along. That's not putting any pressure. People ask me, and I'm saying I think they'll go a long way. Now, I think he'll have them ready to play, and they're darn good. They're hard to guard. They got good offensive boards. They shoot the three well, and they break well. They run the fast break well. It's 3 different ways you score. You got to guard the dribbler better. Kentucky doesn't do that at all, but I think Alabama's got a good chance to, go a long way. Much further than I don't Final 4 probably. Good chance, not sure. So anyway, what else?
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Grant Nelson because all indications are that they really dodged a bullet with that injury. I'm not sure if we're going to see him today against Robert Morris, but let's assume that they beat Robert Morris and then you get him into the weekend. How big is that to be able to have Grant Nelson? And if he's not 100%, how much does that affect Alabama moving forward?
Well, I think it hurts him. It hurts him if he's not playing. I think he's good around the goal. He's made some threes. He played very good against Auburn. There are games during the year that he has not played as well as he's played recently. But recently he's been a factor in the game, no doubt about it. So they need him if he's a factor. They probably, if I'm going to guess, to see what you do is what I have my guys do. My guy that we don't know about the injury, which I would sit down with him and the doctor or my trainer and the kid, and we would decide whether he's able to play or not. We got three of us there sitting there deciding whether he can play. If he can play some, they ought to play him just to get him back playing some. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know if the injury is that bad. Maybe it is, but I think that they'll play him some, kind of to get him going, and then get him out. Whether start him, people are always hung up on starters. There's a lot of times that the starters play less minutes than the guys who substitute for them all the time. So, but mothers and daddies and girlfriends and former coaches want to know if he's going to start, and that's a big factor. But sometimes it's not a real factor when the game goes on. So, answer your question, I would say they play him a little bit and they get him ready for that second game.
From a coaching perspective and a preparation perspective, take us through this, Coach. So prior to Auburn playing Alabama State, I'm sure they had somebody that was on that scout, but also scouting Louisville and Creighton for Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide, Robert Morris, and they know about Vanderbilt, probably scouting St. Mary's. But the turnaround time and implementing those scouts to your team with just a day in between games, how tough is that, or do we make too much of that as fans?
Well, maybe a little bit. I think you walk through if you know what you probably have scouted two different coaches scout all of those, and they have the preparation ready. So whoever wins, because you don't know, and then you go to the board and show them. But then you get on the court and you show them the things that they do well. We have to do this defensively. We have to get to number 44. 44 will shoot the lights out. I'm just making it up, but if they've got a guy on the perimeter that never shoots it, then I would tell my guys sometimes number 3 hadn't shot it hard at all. If he makes one, that was on me as the coach. We have to rebound and we have to play defense. We got to rebound and get a lot of shots. So I think rebounding is something we don't ever talk about rebounding much, but it's a critical thing. You get the ball offensively. Defensively and run with it and get cheap baskets. Cheap baskets kill you, and you don't want a lot of cheap baskets by your opponent. So I don't know that you make too much of it. In some cases, if you were playing Auburn and Auburn ran the shuffle years ago, it'd be hard to prepare. But I think Auburn runs good stuff and they're a good team, and Alabama will. Have to be ready to play, and I'm sure they will. But I think Alabama got a very good draw, and I'm proud of them. Yeah.
This is the first time we've been able to talk to you since Selection Sunday. How surprised were you that SEC ended up with 14 teams? Did you think that was too many?
No, I didn't. In the end, I had said 10 or 11 early. And then as we got down to it, I looked and saw where South Carolina and LSU had really separated those two teams from the other 16. And if you started Texas and Texas A&M and trying to decide which one needs to be in, which one doesn't, you got a cotton picking problem there. So South Carolina and LSU separated themselves. So at the end of it, and I'm just answering your question. I'm not saying how many genius. I said 14-2. I said 14-2 because I thought those two teams had separated themselves. I had, pretty much picked Auburn to win it, picked the number they won 15-3. But I think that was probably the right because I couldn't separate those teams. North Carolina, of course, will, and I know your other guy who's on this show knows a lot more about it than I do. I think North Carolina will be really ready to play, because they want to show everybody after they won the first game that I think mentally, I mean, just put it that way. I think mentally they'll be really ready to playing Ole Miss. So I don't know. You can pick who you want to. It's a 1.5 game. North Carolina's a 1.5 favorite, I think, in what I saw. So I would think that North Carolina. He gave the over and under, and I don't do that. So, but I think that they'll be ready to play in that particular game. So we'll see.
Coach, do you think that the teams that played in a part of that Dayton First Four a little bit of an advantage coming in just because they've been in that tournament setting and they played just a few nights ago?
Well, it doesn't hurt them. I don't know how much it'll help them. I don't know. You've got to be darn sure that you're prepared the best way you can. When I walked into the dressing room in the SEC tournament, and some in the NCAA, I've said this on the radio show before. We got new listeners though. Hey, when do you guys think the championship game is? Sunday afternoon? The championship game is tonight. The championship game for the University of Alabama, that's who I was coaching, is tonight. And you sink or swim tonight, not tomorrow, not Sunday afternoon when you think the game is, but it's tonight. And if you don't play, then you're 88 and out the gate. So we're trying to decide who we're going to. We're playing, and we're a 15-point favorite. We're going to blow them out. Now, if you got guys that kind of attitude, and you got problems. How they play, and you don't know, and that's the reason it's hard to gamble. I'm not a gambler anyway. I mess with it, but it's hard to gamble because you don't really know the outcome as far as these guys are mentally, and I think that's the way you are physically. So we'll see. Florida's picked to win it all, probably by most people you talk to. I would say that they're awfully good if they continue to rebound offensively the way they do and continue to shoot it. They're hard to beat. Kentucky playing Troy, 4.5 points. I don't know. Kentucky is really beaten up. But the one thing that disappointed me a little bit with Kentucky, and I'm not coaching anybody's team, is I felt and Alabama played good, but I felt Kentucky kind of quit. I think they looked at their bench. One guy's not there anymore, and one guy's injured. Maybe they just kind of gave up on the game a little bit more than they should have. I could be totally wrong, and everybody could, once you make a decision about something and say it, that you're always got a lot of people who disagree with you. We opened up with Baylor and Mississippi State. I got no way how that would go. I think Mississippi State's a 1.5 favorite, but Alabama and Robert Morris, good question about Nelson. I think he'll play a little bit, not a lot. I think Alabama wins. They're a 21.5 point, 22.5 point favorite. I don't know if they cover or not. I won't say.
Okay. Well, Coach, we always value your time each and every Friday, and it's brought to you by Craneworks.
Well, it is, and Craneworks will bring it, tear it down, or bring it and build it back up for you. Craneworks is absolutely terrific. They've got 2.5 tons all the way to 500 tons. They've got trained and certified operators and riggers to make sure the job is done right. Their locations in Birmingham and Nashville and Mobile and Huntsville. I hope you'll visit craneworks.com for more information than I give. Remember, Rental Works is terrific. You can rent some stuff. They'll take the operators will be there to help you with the equipment that they have. David Upton and them have done a terrific job. They've been very, very successful. You guys are really good, and I appreciate you having me on, and we'll talk to you next week.
We appreciate you, Coach, and I'll promote you more.
Yeah, I'll slap him around, Coach.
Yeah, but shake him real good, will you?
I will.
I was just kidding. It was great.
Coach,
thanks, Coach. Enjoy the weekend.
Appreciate it. Coach William Sanderson and all of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
When we come back live from Twin Peaks, we'll give you an update on Grant Nelson. Nate Oates has spoken about his availability today. We'll tell you more about that next on Three Man Front. It's 10:53. Jocks 94-5. Just a couple moments ago, Nate Oates, he told the media that they're going to see how Grant Nelson feels after warm-ups, but he is available today in the game against Robert Morris. So what Coach just told us a few moments ago, that he anticipates that he will probably see Grant Nelson at some point today to kind of get the blood flowing, kind of get him out there, kind of test that knee out. So according to Nate Oates in pregame, Grant Nelson is available. They're going to see how he feels after warm-ups.
Well, for flu, pollen, and allergy season, keep your home cleaner with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those contributing to allergy and virus, and it's proven to be more effective than standard and HEPA air filters. So go and contact a Trane's certified dealer for the Clean Effects Air Cleaner.
And you won't have to miss any of the basketball action throughout tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday right here on Jocks 94.5. Starting at 11 a.m. tomorrow, you've got Purdue and McNeese. At 1:30, you're going to have St. John's and Arkansas. Then you're going to be able to hear the Auburn game at 5:30 right here, the Auburn Network. Auburn takes on Creighton. And then whip-around coverage will be immediately after the Auburn game tomorrow night. Well, last game tipped off what last night? About 9:45? Something like that?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And historically, especially tonight, it always seems like these games tip even later on a Friday night. I don't know if they purposely do that.
I think the officials, it's Friday night. They've got a quicker whistle
You think so?
than some of the games yesterday that we had. They let them play yesterday.
Yeah.
For a lot of the games that I saw, they let them play.
I'm just glad I didn't see the bad officiating that I saw in the St. Joseph's UAB game. Good gravy.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Oh, by the way, Omaha, that was an interesting game, 4.5 at least.
Yeah. I thought the NC Wilmington game,
Yeah.
the way they came back, they showed a lot of moxie. I like your wall, Molly. Your wall
thank you.
you looking nice there.
Yeah, it's funny because in the video, I posted it this morning, and I look exhausted in the video because I had to wait on UNC Wilmington. I was like, man, what? Do I have to go print out a new logo?
You're totally not going to take that down until you move, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Especially when Auburn wins the national championship.
Oh,
And then
exactly.
you'll just leave it up there, and then when you move, then whoever gets your next.
What if that becomes like whoever moves into her place after she moves out, and then like 15 years from now, we still have the bracket from 2025.
And then people make pilgrimages to come to her.
Yeah,
to her
college
old place.
basketball fans from everywhere.
Yes, they want to come and they want to look at the wall.
Well, I'm thinking, what if I do one for the college football playoff? A giant wall. I mean, it's not obviously
we probably
as
won't
big,
have any
but
teams from Alabama playing in
you
the
forget
that's
we're
true.
a basketball state now, Molly.
Yeah,
True.
we don't care about football anymore.
Quit being silly.
Should I make an NIT one?
That would have been ingenious.
I should have. I have another wall.
Well, it could be a smaller wall because there was only
Yeah.
32 teams in the NIT.
Yeah, I have a smaller wall I can put it on.
I'm sure you're going to put the Crown tournament since Nebraska is playing.
Oh,
You put that
absolutely.
like in your bathroom.
Well, I thought about doing a women's one because Nebraska's in the women's tournament.
Yeah, do that women's one. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be great. We're live at Twin Peaks.
That would be included with their price of admission for
Will
the
it?
people who make the pilgrimage.
We're
More
at
from
Twin Peaks. Come on, see us.
Welcome back in live from Twin Peaks in Hoover. The door's opening now. PG has joined us. Some other patrons filing in. You can get in for some of the early action, including Alabama taking on Robert Morris. We'll have live look-ins, and our wall-to-wall coverage here continues here on Three Man Front and Jocks 94.5. And for some of the early games, Prize Picks. I tell you about Prize Picks. It is the daily way to interact with your friends or just interact across all sports, including college basketball. It's more or less on player projections. All you have to do is be correct on 2 of them, and you can be a winner. Right now, if you download the Prize Picks app, you enter promo code WJOX. Your first $5 play, win or lose, you're going to get $50 instantly kicked back to your account. Once again, download the Prize Picks app, enter promo code WJOX. When you set up the account, your first $5 play, win or lose, you get $50 instantly. Today, we're going to use 2 particular Alabama Crimson Tide players and their player projections. Pat, I need some help, as I typically do. LeBaron Philon, he was not great his last time out. More or less 12.5 points today versus Robert Morris.
More. I think he's in store for a good game today.
All right, I'm going to go more on LeBaron Philon, 12.5 points. A guy that Rodney Ord told us yesterday was going to be huge for Alabama in this tournament. They're going to have success. Clifford Amore, 9 points, more or less, for Clifford Amore.
I'm going to say less. The big key for him will be rebounds, but I'd say less points.
All right, more points for LeBaron Philon, less for Clifford Amore. If those 2 hit, then I will be a winner. You can be a winner too. Prize Picks. Download the app and make sure you enter promo code WJOX.
So Alabama and Robert Morris, they're going to tip in about 40 minutes from now. You know, Alabama's defense enters the game in poor form, having allowed at least 79 points in 9 of their last 11 games. They face Robert Morris' team that is rebounding at 36.2% of its missed shots at offensive rebounds in games played away from home. So they're going to crash the boards. They rank 7th in the nation in that category. So Alabama better be ready today. They are a 21.5-point favorite. This marks the 5th tournament appearance in Nate Oates' 6 seasons as Alabama's head coach. Alabama's 25th NCAA tournament appearance in program history, with Alabama owning a 27-24 record all-time in NCAA play.
Is there any particular outcome, I'm not talking about a loss, that would concern you for Alabama? You think they win by 21.5 comfortably?
I do not.
Okay, so you think that this is a game that –
Yesterday, I felt really good because, remember, someone texted in, I think, on the text line and asked, and I liked Arkansas on the points, and Arkansas won straight up. I like Robert Morris in the points here. Based on what we saw yesterday, I think Alabama could jump out to a really big lead, but also know that with a couple guys that they probably want to, ease into the tournament, like a Grant Nelson, might not be playing as much. So I think that number's pretty good.
Kind of like us easing into the Major League Baseball season. And Barrett Salee, who is the pre- and post-game radio host for the Braves Radio Network. You can hear it on these airwaves all through the Atlanta Braves season as it starts next week. We've already had a couple of games in Tokyo. Barrett, how are you? Happy March Madness Friday.
Happy March Madness Friday to you guys, too. I heard you guys talking about Prize Picks, and, man, I've been doing that since COVID.
It's awesome,
right when
isn't it?
Golf and race cars came back. And I tell you what, with baseball, big boy basketball, all that stuff, it's awesome, man. It's so much fun.
Thank you for saying that. And our listeners who have tried it, they're like, wow, that's really, really easy. They made it really, really easy and fun. We will talk a little bit about Braves as the Braves getting ready to start their season on the road on a West Coast trip late next week. But, Barrett, for you, yesterday, tournament action, what were your big takeaways from day one?
Well, I think first things first for you guys in that state, I don't know what's up with Auburn, but they looked complacent. They looked disinterested. I don't know everybody except Miles Kelly. I don't know how Bruce Pearl gets that spark back in before the game tomorrow, because if they do that against Creighton, they're going to get blown out of that building. It was really, really bad. And the game plan was crazy. I know they were doubling Janai Broome, but he can still take over a game against an undersized team. I don't know what that was.
I'm with you, man.
Disheartening, I would imagine.
Yeah,
it's disheartening. And that Creighton team, man, they hit everything.
They did. I told Pat when we came on that it felt like an Auburn loss just based on the way that they played. And you're right.
Yeah.
They looked like, besides Miles Kelly, nobody – it was just kind of three-quarter speed at times.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I think that against that Creighton team, man, I know you guys watched that Creighton-Louisville team. That team can't miss. I mean, it is unbelievable. I mean, it was crazy how good they were yesterday. So, locally for you guys, that's got. I know you are talking about that in addition to what's happening in about an hour or so, because that's a storyline that you just can't ignore.
As far as baseball goes, let's talk about the Braves, because there have been some intriguing signings over the course of the last few days. For those that might not be in full spring training gear, kind of touch on a couple of those signings and what it could potentially mean for this team moving forward as the team heads north.
Yeah, the Craig Kimbrell thing is fascinating, because he was not himself last year with the Orioles, although in the first half he was just okay. And around these parts, and I think around Braves country in general, it was a little bit disappointing, scary, met with some concern. And I'm sitting there going, look, he's not a closer. He's not even supposed to be the eighth inning guy. Like, Craig Kimbrell with this team is going to be the sixth inning guy. He can do that. He can't close anymore, but he can do that. So I don't know why the concern was there. I mean, I know Twitter and Reddit are not like real life, but I mean, the hate that he was getting, I was floored. I mean, he's going to be a sixth inning guy. I'm all for that. With Alex Verdugo yesterday, I think it's mostly just insurance. Kelnick and De La Cruz are going to be on that roster to begin the season. Kelnick has options. So if he struggles against right-handers, if he struggles in general, it doesn't matter if he's righty or lefty, he can get sitting down and Alex Verdugo will come up. But to me, it's not really a sign of anything other than, I think Alex realizing that, okay, this is for the first month of the season, this could get a little sketchy. And I've heard, the idea that maybe Ronald is not where he needs to be. Maybe in terms of confidence, I think from a health perspective, he's fine. But, confidence, making that cut, rounding the bases, things like that, those are the last things that kind of fall into play with ACL. So, maybe it's a sign that Ronald is not, maybe confident in those areas yet. But health-wise, he could play right now. So maybe that's part of why the Verdugo thing happened.
Speaking of health, Spencer Strider and his comeback and his appearance that he had against the Red Sox, striking out, 6 of the 8 that he faced. I think his fastball topped out at 98. His breaking stuff was absolutely nasty. Am I overreacting and being really excited about the potential of Spencer Strider returning to Spencer Strider form, Barrett?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to win the Cy Young, the Masters, the Kentucky Derby. He's going to win MVP in the NFL. I mean, look, I was pumped too, man. Watching him, it was like, wow, this is the guy that we knew we would see. It was only 27 pitches, and I think that's the thing, is that they need to get him stretched out. It's basically right now the start of spring training for him. So going, a couple innings, next time out, which might be in spring training, it might be an extended spring training once the team goes out west. They're going to look for, a little bit more. I think what's going to happen is if he doesn't get another spring training start, it's going to be right when they leave. He'll get, he'll get another game in extended spring training, then get stretched out again, and then probably once more. So you're looking at the start of that second homestand, which is like April 18th, I think. To me, that would be where they're targeting. He's not, I know, like I was the same way. I was like, bring him up now. Let's go. That's not, it's not what they're going to do. They can be patient. They're going to make the playoffs. So, they don't feel the need to rush him or Ronald back. But he's got at least 3 more starts. He's going to stay in Florida probably for the first couple weeks of the season. And, by that time, he might travel and then make his first start that second homestand.
What is the one area, Barrett, for you right now in spring training that you're the most concerned with before they break camp getting ready for opening day on Thursday?
Shortstop. Orlando, I'm not one to take a lot out of spring training stats. He has 1 hit. I mean, it's based and look, again, spring training stats. I get it, but after what we saw last year from him, that is a concern. And Snit was he spoke, I think it was yesterday, about how, and he was asked about this by Mark Bowman. What's the leash on him? And Snit even said, I don't really want to focus on spring stats, but he also said he's willing to make changes if things don't go well in the regular season, which is basically code for Nick Allen's making the team and Ronald better hit early because Nick Allen is looming.
All right, selfishly, I did agree to be a part of a fantasy baseball league, so I had to get some Braves. I need to get your thoughts. A couple of these guys you've already touched on. I've got Swelly as one of my starters. Yeah, okay.
Wait, is that good or bad?
Is that a good woohoo?
That's good. That's real good.
Okay, awesome. I've got Profar as one of my position players. Solid?
I think it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts because he's going to lead off for a month and then he's going to move probably to 2. And so, those are 2 different for fantasy. Those are kind of 2 different areas that you're going to focus on, or at least that you're going to get stats in. So, I'm fascinated to see what he does from a fantasy perspective because, again, he's like going to have 2 different roles.
You mentioned, and these are some of my bench players, but they were available. I've got De La Cruz as one of my reserve outfielders, and you said you really like that. You don't like it.
No, I don't like it. He's not going to get enough ABs. I think he's going to be a fine player, but he's not going to get enough ABs.
All right,
they're not going to face enough lefties.
All right, what about Grant Holmes?
Ooh, yeah.
I can use him as a reliever or a starter.
That's what I was going to say. He's going to be the 4th starter, but he's also eligible in relief. So I really like that.
All right. Well, for the most part. And I got Albies as my second baseman.
I would drop De La Cruz.
All right. How's Ozzie doing? What's his mindset like?
I think Ozzie is in a really good spot. His wrist is fine. Both of his wrists are fine. I think that he understands he's going to be in a good spot. I think he's probably going to bat 6th. Or 7th, maybe if they want to put Harris up there. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to drive in runs. Okay. And that to have him 6th or 7th, that's huge.
That is Barrett Sallee. You can hear Barrett all summer long into the October. In the World Series Game 7 like November 1st or something. Isn't that right? Is that the way the calendar
works? Game 6 when the Braves won it was November 7th, or November 2nd.
We're going to sweep the World Series, Pat.
Oh, okay.
It's only going to be a 4-game.
Yeah,
okay.
Halloween.
All right, gotcha.
Halloween.
Well, you can hear him on the Braves Radio Network and the pre- and post-game activities on the Jocks Family of Networks. Barrett, always appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Barrett.
Enjoy it. And the next Friday when we talk to you, the things will be underway. So I guess we'll have to work out your schedule, see what's going on with you. But we look forward to talking baseball with you.
My pleasure, and my schedule is very visible. It's very public.
That's true.
Just look at the schedule.
That's true. That is very true. Barrett, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, later, boys.
See ya. That is Barrett Sallee joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline.
All of our guests join us on that Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Well, another thing that you are deserving is a great deal, and that's where Courtesy GMC comes in because you need to get by there this weekend. It's going to be a beautiful weekend, and guess what? You're not going to miss any basketball action because if you go into their state-of-the-art showroom, they have got TVs galore. You would think that you're here at a place like Twin Peaks where you've got 1 million TV screens. So you can go get the best deal that you can afford on a Courtesy GMC vehicle and not miss one single moment of March Madness because Courtesy Madness is going on right now to close out March. $14,500 off 2025 GMC Sierras in stock. Up to $6,000 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 GMC Yukon Denali's. How about 10% off the 2025 GMC Canyons? $3,000 off MSRP on the all-new 2025 GMC Acadias. Courtesy is going to beat any deal on any new GMC. They are the lowest price dealer in the state of Alabama. You don't need to go anywhere else to get a brand new GMC except right there in Trussville off of I-459 exit 32. Compare the dealerships. Go to courtesybirmingham.com. Pull up all their inventory. Then go to the other GMC websites, and you're not going to find anywhere better than Courtesy GMC off of I-459 in Trussville exit 32. Or check them out, courtesybirmingham.com.
We are moments away from game number 1 of the day. 9-seed Baylor taking on 8-seed Mississippi State. Not too far off from right now. You got Robert Morris taking on Alabama. We'll have live look-ins. Keep you updated as we're live from Twin Peaks here in Hoover. Join us as other Jocks listeners are right now. It is a Friday. It's a beautiful day outside, and we got plenty of basketball. 3-man front and Jocks, 94.5.
We are underway. Another SEC school has just tipped off a few moments ago, 18 minutes to go until halftime, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They lost 5 of their last 7 games entering the NCAA tournament. They're averaging right at 80 points a game. That's the most points since 1990, 1991. 13.8 combined steals and blocks per game. Right now they're taking on the 9-seed Baylor. It is 5-4 early. The Mississippi State Bulldogs with the lead over the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, and that's up and down. You're going to get a lot of threes in that game, so an entertaining style of basketball that you get in game number 1. Of course, we've got Alabama and Robert Morris live look-ins coming up as we continue throughout the show. How about Mandu in downtown Homewood? Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness. I've told you about it for almost 2 years now, but Mandu goes above and beyond to ensure that you get the safest, cleanest, and most effective workout possible so you can have peace of mind while transforming your body. It's electrical muscle stimulation fitness. You go into Mandu in downtown Homewood, they put you in a suit, they hook you up to a machine. It has cables that sends electric pulses to various muscle groups. It's that deep tissue, and that's why it's so effective. It's FDA approved, but it's a 15-minute workout. That means it's convenient for you, your schedule, busy schedule, no matter the time of year. 15-minute workout, and because of that technology, it's the equivalent to 6 to 8 hours in a gym. You can't beat that. Mandu, get into Mandu, take a tour of the facility. Heck, they'll even put you in a suit and let you go through the 15-minute workout absolutely free of charge to see if you like it. I can almost guarantee you're going to like it. If you do like it, I can promise you you're going to get results. Mandu in downtown Homewood, MANDUU.com. Tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Three Man Front sent you.
Mississippi State up early 7-6 over Baylor, 16:33 to go until halftime. Greg Sankey is in attendance there in Raleigh watching the Bulldogs take on the Bears. And so far both teams shooting about 50% from the field. Like Landrum said, this is going to be a very up and down game. Both of these teams very similar, the type of offense they run.
Yeah, Mississippi State, we've seen good Mississippi State, and we see bad Mississippi State. I think that this 8-9 matchup is, and I know that that's by design, but probably one of the more competitive just based on paper that we're going to see in this tournament.
Yeah, and one thing's for sure, Vegas thinks it's going to be close. I think the game tipped off. Mississippi State was a 1-point favorite in this game, and so now it is tied 7-7 with 16:22.
Yeah, as opposed to what we got with Gonzaga as the 8 and Georgia as the 9. These two teams, they're pretty even. I had a chance to watch Baylor. Now, this is not a Baylor team that even any semblance of a Baylor team that won a national title, but Mississippi State, if they can be one of those teams, maybe pick up where Missouri couldn't do it,
yeah,
in advance. So we're not looking at, and coming in today, what, 4-3 the SEC overall,
4-3.
So how many teams? I said that we would go with the 14 teams. We would go 10-4 in the first 2 rounds. Who's the most likely to lose today?
Well, I know that you're trying to set me up to say Ole Miss to North Carolina,
not
but
necessarily.
I'm not. To me, it's Vanderbilt. I think St. Mary's is a really good team, and you think about what happened once Vandy got to 20 wins on the season. They went the other direction. It was almost like, okay, we got to 20 wins. We're going to the tournament. Okay, Hayes in the barn. We're good.
You think most Alabama fans would rather play Vanderbilt because that's a team they've seen and they've beaten, or do you?
No, I think
St. Mary's?
I think they'd love to see Vanderbilt again, without a shadow of a doubt. I think St. Mary's presents a kind of issue trying to keep Alabama from running the type of offense that Alabama likes to run, and St. Mary's is a very good defensive team. Another team that I think you should watch being on upset alert, and I know, Molly, you love Kentucky. You've got Kentucky in your Final Four, right? Isn't that correct?
I do, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think this Troy game is going to be very difficult for them. You've got the Sun Belt Player of the Year that plays for Troy. Troy is very talented, and we've all seen that Kentucky defense is optional with Kentucky. And if Troy comes out and they're shooting the ball like Creighton did yesterday against Louisville, better watch out, folks. I think that one's going to be interesting. And listen, Oklahoma against UConn, both of these teams are Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know which one you're going to get. UConn has played better of late. Oklahoma's got 2 guards that we've seen in SEC play that will just absolutely light it up if they're on. So I think there's all sorts of options here, Landrum. I mean, it might be another 4-3 day.
Colorado State, Memphis, that matchup that we get, that 12-5. Does Memphis play like the Memphis team that played towards the end of the season and they're in the American Conference Tournament? And then Colorado State being that team that everybody said watch. We've already seen the 12 and the 5 and the upset that we had with McNeese over Clemson. So it goes back to Coach Wimp Sanderson. Nobody would know better you don't know. These coaches don't know the mindset of their team. I've talked to coaches game week and saying, hey, hey, we're going to go and get it done. And I had one coach who everybody would know look at me and say, I have no idea what's going through those kids' heads.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you. I just know how we've prepared and the things that they're showing me and telling me, but you never know until the ball tips and you get in that setting. Hopefully for the SEC, though, because that was the big fear, is getting 14 teams in and that you would have a goose egg, and then everybody starts questioning the strength of the league. Don't need all that nonsense.
Yeah. A lot of Alabama fans are making their way in here to Twin Peaks in Hoover. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. BB from our Tuesday show. She is here along with PG and a lot of other Jocks listeners, as Alabama will be tipping off here in about 20 minutes or less. And some great deals coming up today. You've got any old number 7 Jack Daniels, $6. You can upgrade to Jack Daniels Bonded for $7.50. You've got beer specials going on today for Miller Lite and Coors Light. And, of course, as always, that 29-degree big O scoreboard up there up on the wall telling us how cold the beer is. 29 degrees.
It still says 29.
Yep. Always good
It's
stuff.
teeth chattering.
It is. So come out and see us. We'll be here until 2 o'clock, as we've already got the one game that has already tipped off, in which Baylor has jumped out to a 10-7 lead over Mississippi State, 15-51.
Who'd you have in your bracket, or one of your brackets? I think I went I don't know. It's all running together now.
It is. I mean, I assume that I probably split it up, especially on those 8-9 games. We had 68 people in our bracket pool, the one that we put together amongst us friends and coworkers and things like that.
Yeah.
And I know you're, I think, in that group at number 1. Molly, where are you? Have you checked your standings? I'm way down.
I'm going to be honest, I have not looked either.
I think I'm like in the 30s.
We had a couple of guys, maybe girls too, that went 15-1 yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. It's and you put it in perspective, because last night, I don't know if you were still up and to see this studio show, but you had Charles Barkley, you had Clark Kellogg, you had all the guys on the CBS set. They pulled out their brackets and they went and they put red marks on the brackets of all the games that they had lost yesterday. I didn't feel too bad. I really didn't, because I'm like, you know what? These guys are getting paid a lot more than I am. And they all played basketball in college and in the pros. And I think it was Clark Kellogg. I think he had like Clemson going to like
What?
the Elite Eight. So you can imagine he felt pretty sick about what happened there. And Barkley didn't have a very good day either yesterday in round 1.
Well, in Clemson, based on, you can't do it, but we know Alabama eliminated them in their run last year. But this is a Clemson team that beat Duke. They beat Duke. Solid team. I will give it to Clemson there in the final minute. And that's not the time to start doing this when you're trailing by 9. But they made that a compelling watch at the end of the game. I give them a lot of credit. They didn't quit. Those kids didn't.
No, they sure didn't. Update from going on in Raleigh, Mississippi State now up 12-10 over Baylor. Baylor only shooting 40% from the field. Mississippi State 50%. So that's what's going on in Raleigh. Alabama's going to tip off in about 15 minutes from now. So you need to get on out here and get you a seat, because Twin Peaks is starting to fill up. But they can always make room for you. So come out and see us. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. This is Jocks 94.5. We're live at Twin Peaks on 3 Man Front.
Live from Twin Peaks here in Hoover. We're here in the banquet hall of the lodge. That's what we've called it. If you walk through the front doors, we're way off to the right in this beautiful side room with lots of natural light coming in, plenty of TVs to watch all of these games right now. The first game on the board, Mississippi State, the 8 seed, taking on Baylor, the 9 seed. Right now, Hail State, 15-14. Bulldogs leading the Bears, 12-18 to play in the first half of that one, part of the NCAA East region. And, of course, Alabama's going to be coming up here in about, what, Pat, 10 minutes from right now?
Yeah, 10 minutes from now. And our Twin Peaks Twitter poll question of the day, what happens in today's Alabama game? Tide rolls, wins by 22-plus points, Robert Morris covers, or Robert Morris pulls upset. And as of this moment, 54% of our audience says that Alabama is going to roll. They're going to beat them by over 22 points. Coming in at 36.4% is Robert Morris covers. And 9% of our audience thinks that Robert Morris is going to pull the upset against the number 2 ranked
I
Alabama
don't
Crimson
see
Tide.
that one. I know that you like Robert Morris
And
plus
the
the
points,
points.
Not the upset.
I think Alabama rolls today. They flex, and that's one of the big takeaways is, woo, look at Alabama. They look like that team that we saw. That will be the narrative in the studio show after that one concludes.
Okay.
Dobbs Ford, Parkway East in Birmingham. Rachel Goshen, Joey Goshen, managing partners. Their son Austin is in the sales department. Their entire team, you're going to get great customer service, total transparency when you go there, even if you never buy a car, truck, or SUV. They do have Alabama's largest showroom selection. You can go to DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Check out the great fleet of F-150s, Mustangs, Broncos, and Bronco Sports, the Escapes, the Explorers. Also a great pre-owned selection as well. All kinds of financing options. They'll beat any competitor's price. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Parkway East, DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Just make sure if you do nothing else when you go there, as for Joey Goshen or another great member of the team, make sure you tell them you heard it here on Three Man Front and Jocks 94.5, and you'll be glad that you did. DobbsFordBirmingham.com.
All right, let's go up to Lexington, Kentucky, which I'm sure he's been either on a bourbon tour or he's out riding a horse right now. Ryan Hennessy, sports director of NBC 13, joins us now. Which were you doing? Were you doing both? Were you drinking bourbon and riding a horse?
No, I'm actually in my hotel room trying to find out what channel True TV's on. It's not looking good in this hotel room. No True TV. And by the way, I just called in. Molly put me through. Listen, Landrum with the hot takes that Alabama's going to roll. Man, we're on a hot streak right now.
How about that?
We are.
Landrum is not short of hot takes.
Mm-mm.
You know that.
No, I got plenty of hot takes, man.
Yeah, he's there. All right, you were there yesterday for the Auburn Tigers, and we've had some people text in. We've had people call us. Even Landrum, a little bit concerned by some of the body language outside of Miles Kelly yesterday. The team looked like that they were kind of going through just the process yesterday. Your thoughts being there, covering the game, and talking to people after the game. What's your assumption?
Well, just reading the whole vibe of the team, obviously a 20-point win, but when you watched it, that first half was so the first game was Lexington, or Louisville, excuse me, and those fans started getting behind Alabama State. You could tell that they wanted the underdog, and it got close, and Auburn couldn't really pull ahead. And I actually texted the SWAC commissioner who was there, Dr. Charles McClellan. I said, if this happens, are you free? He's like, yeah, I'm here. And immediately when I sent that text, they pulled ahead 10 points. So I think Auburn saw the text and pulled on the run. But, no, I mean, I think that they were definitely an aggressive team, Alabama State, but Auburn was just too good. I look at Janai Broome and really not a lot of shots. Let's not even talk about the free throws because that's been a disaster down the stretch here. But really not a lot of shots, and I think that they felt good with what Kelly was doing and their team was doing. But it was not as pretty as people thought. Now, but I didn't realize after the game how bad Bruce Pearl really thought they played. I mean, he said they played worse than that Yale game last year, and that's not good if you're an Auburn fan with a team that hasn't really gotten over the hump, that your coach is saying that after a 16 seed plays you tight in the first half.
Yeah, and Ryan, it just seems like the body language, all of that, not even yesterday, but kind of that mojo, and Bruce Pearl saying we need to get our swagger back. I thought it was interesting, though, and this didn't get a whole lot of play. I don't know if you remember, and it was one of the reporters that was there with you inside of that room. They asked Miles Kelly about his performance and then kind of giving Auburn that boost when they needed it. And I think it was right before the half. You had the turnover, and then Denver Jones found him there in the corner to go on that 9-0 run. And he said at that time we really had no energy. Usually the guys that we depend on, they weren't there. My antennas went up. I immediately thought, well, Chad Baker-Mazara, he's not playing, didn't look like he was, with a whole lot of emotion. What did you take away from Miles Kelly's comments?
Well, Miles Kelly, I mean, we were looking at the box score going through it. This guy's got 15 points in the first half. He's the only bright spot of this offense. And my question with the body language was, it was concerning, but what happens if he didn't score that quick 15?
Yeah.
Where would they have been? They would have been playing from behind. And in this tournament, it's literally, obviously you think the 1 seed's going to win in the first round, but then you don't want to be a 1 seed when you're down because all the pressure's on you, and an Alabama State has nothing to lose. And that's an issue. I mean, I saw a quote today. I'm not sure who said it. They said, coaches can only do so much. These players need to show up and play. This is an opportunity, and we went back to last week. Bruce Pearl had those comments when I was at SEC Media Day, or SEC Tournament. The pressure's on because if this team loses tomorrow, this is Pearl's chance. I mean, he had a shot with other teams, but this is the best team he's had. And if effort's the issue, then it's going to be a long week here in Lexington.
All right, let's talk about Creighton, Auburn's opponent tomorrow. You saw that game firsthand. We were watching it. We were blown away at how well Creighton shot from the outside. We had their play-by-play guy on earlier this week, and he told us that is the straw that stirs the drink for them. If they can hit from the outside, they could be problematic for teams, and that's what took place yesterday. Do you think this is a really good matchup for Creighton against Auburn, or do you think Auburn will be able to flex and take care of business?
I think this is one of the scariest 9 seeds I've seen. I mean, this team is veterans. And you talk about who's Auburn's best player, a big man. They've got a big man, Hawkbrenner. I mean, he's really, really good, a veteran, and efficient inside. The field goal percentage is top 5, I believe, in the country. So that's what you're really worried about is, if you guys remember the first Auburn game against Alabama, taking Mark Tears out of the game. If you have Broom out of the game, or it's a scratch, that's going to be a problem. Can you rely on a Miles Kelly? I asked Bruce Pearl, how much does that mean? And I think that's going to be the issue going down is if you can't get Broom going tomorrow, who do you go to? Hediford has been streaky. I mean, we had some zeros in some games, then he goes big. So it can't be a flip of the coin of who's going to go off as their second best player. And this Creighton team matches up well. The point guard's good as well, a veteran guy. We saw him in Tuscaloosa earlier on in the season. They're a good team, and a 9 seed, here you go going into the second round.
Well, and maybe, and we said this, I said it anyways, leaving Nashville in the SEC tournament coming in this week is now maybe that's what's best for this Auburn team to kind of focus and say, all right, back to reality. What's the task at hand? Maybe that's why I was a little underwhelmed with the performance yesterday, but with the criticism and hearing it from the players and hearing it from Bruce Pearl, if there was an Auburn fan that said, well, we see it, are they actually addressing these things in the locker room? I think Bruce Pearl, in his discussion with you guys in the media pool yesterday, there's no doubt that Bruce Pearl is recognizing it, and they're talking about these things there in the locker room and there in the meeting rooms.
I'm blown away by what he said after the game, though. I mean, you win by 20, and you've got a team that – I mean, you could put the number 1 next to them all you want. This team has done nothing in the tournament. We all know what happened last year. Remember that year where they had a top 3 pick? They did nothing. I believe that was a second-round exit. So, obviously, he has the Final Four run, but those guys aren't on that team, obviously. So, this team needs to prove something. And that's what he said after. And he made a great point about that is this team has done nothing yet. Creighton is a good basketball team with a really good head coach that's been there forever. They're known for a basketball program, and this is dangerous, and it's just going to get harder from here. But this is one of the tougher, in my opinion, 9 seeds that I've seen, and a 1 going up into 9. It should be closer than people think. And hopefully, the Auburn fans make the trip up there because I was not impressed with the crowd yesterday. Now, maybe it was because of the Louisville fans, but because it's all in one session. But, I mean, this is, a quick trip up north to Lexington, and Auburn's going to need it because this team is not going to be easy to beat.
Talking to Ryan Hennessy, sports director, NBC 13. He is live in Lexington, Kentucky. He is covering the Auburn Tigers as they're getting ready for Creighton tomorrow. Your thoughts on Alabama? They're taking on Robert Morris today, a big favorite, a 22-point favorite against Robert Morris. And then potentially the second-round game could either be Vanderbilt or St. Mary's. You think Bama gets out of the weekend unscathed?
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll be all right. Grant Nelson, I don't think is a worry. I believe he's active today, but I don't know what that means. I don't know if the game's about to tip off. I don't know what that means. Is he going to play a lot? Or he said, if I can help my team win, then I'll play. Well, I mean, obviously having Grant Nelson on the court is going to help your team win. But I want to see someone step up. I talked to you last week. Who's going to step up down the stretch? It was Jaron Stevenson in the Sweet 16. What player besides Mark Sears can step up for this team? And it seems like they're getting more out of Cliff, the big guy. Who else can step up inside? And that's going to be a big question. But I think Alabama has seen this before. They've got some veterans that have been down the stretch and knows what it takes to get hot. But like Bruce Pearl, Matos has challenged his team. And he's not happy with down the stretch what they've seen. And he hopes that changes. But obviously this game they should win. And then the St. Mary's matchup could be tough, but that's a whole different style of basketball. And I think Alabama moves on to the Sweet 16.
Ryan, what kind of packages, live hits can we expect today there on WVTM 13 from you there in Lexington? I'm guessing starting with a 4 and then all through the night?
Yeah, starting at 4 o'clock. Julian's in Cleveland. I'm in Lexington, so we'll be throughout the shows the evening as well. And it's kind of nice because you got Auburn and Alabama on each day. So one day it's game day for Julian. I'm about to head to the arena. Bruce Pearl speaks in about an hour or so, and we'll talk to him. It's closed practice today, so we're not allowed to watch practice this time. And then obviously the night games tomorrow, which we thought was interesting, the way they picked it. I thought that Patino-Cal game was going to be the night game. It looks like CBS is going back to those 2:30 primetime tomorrow. But, yeah, we've got a busy week, and then if Alabama were to win, Julian will be there Sunday for that matchup. So a lot of basketball, best time of the year. We're looking forward to it, and it should be a good one.
Ryan, make sure you tell them that people in Birmingham are doubting them. I know their shirts provided by our friends at Under Armour said doubt us, but we are doubting them officially for the record.
Are you? All right, so what do you guys think? You think Auburn goes to Sweet 16? I mean, if it's Atlanta, these fans can travel quick, but got to show up tomorrow, guys. I was underwhelmed with the crowd.
I have Auburn winning the national championship, Ryan. So,
wow.
And we don't get to reassess our brackets. We can reassess them. We can't replace them. So I've got them going to the Final Four as well. I think tomorrow they get it done. Maybe they dial in, but I would not be shocked. They play. It's like you said. Bruce said it too. They play like they did yesterday. They will get beat. They'll get embarrassed by Creighton.
I just don't think Creighton is going to shoot 56%.
That might have been their best shooting game that they've had all season.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, they shot 29% from three-point against Alabama.
Well, and Auburn was going to have to defend the three, whether it was Louisville or Creighton, and they've done a pretty good job of defending the three this year.
My favorite thing is to see all these brackets, all these experts, the people that are, big-time college basketball, and they're just chalk across the board, 1, 1, 1, and 1. Maybe they'll throw in a 2. So got to see some upsets. I was a little underwhelmed yesterday with the no upsets. Maybe today we'll see some more, but I don't know. I need to see a shakeup, and I know Alabama and Auburn fans hope it's not them, but something's got to happen quick. McNeese is okay, but that people know who Will Wade is. I want to see something be big today.
All SEC Final Four. That's what I'm pulling for.
There it is. That's a company man right there. That's a company man right there.
You're darn right. That is Ryan Hennessy, WVTM 13 sports director. He will be there in Lexington. He'll have the coverage today. Julian, he is there in Cleveland with the game going on right now. We'll have post-game interviews, highlights, and so much more. Ryan, we always appreciate the time, my friend. Thank you. Be safe, and tell Bruce and the boys we said hello.
Yeah, hopefully we got no panic tomorrow. We'll be all right.
I'm glad you said. Hey, you know what, though? I saw the reaction. He smiled yesterday. I think everything seems to be good.
It's always good, man. Always good. Bruce is trying to make a run, and it's been fun covering him.
Good deal. Ryan, thank you, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
You as well. Ryan Hennessy, Sports Director, WVTM 13. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Water can find its way into your crawl space that can bring dangerous mold, mildew, and wood rot into your home. But APS, Alabama Professional Services, they can protect your home's foundation, and they can provide valuable storage space too. The APS crawl space encapsulation system, it can stop that water, can keep the pests out while lowering your energy costs. The engineers at APS will design a custom solution for your home starting today. Call them, 205-951-9717. Start protecting your home today with APS, established in 1977 to solve the most challenging issues around your home. 951-9717 or alabamaprofessional.com.
4+ minutes gone by. Official timeout on the floor. Alabama leading Robert Morris 5-2. The early going there in Cleveland. We'll continue to update you. Have some live look-ins on other games in progress right now, including Mississippi State and Baylor. It is wall-to-wall coverage of the NCAA Tournament right here on Three-Man Front. Jocks 94.5.
It is 11:52, Jocks 94.5. We have got games in action right now. Baylor, a 1-point lead over Mississippi State, 24-23. Alabama, meanwhile, they're up 12-4 over Robert Morris, 14:33 to go. Alabama is shooting 63% from the field. Robert Morris, 18% from the field, as Bama has an 8-point lead early from the wonderful city of Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, I'll tell you where I'm going to be this evening, and it is at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill at the Finnick. That is a great place to watch all sports, but including the NCAA Tournament. It starts with a 283-inch projector screen, the state-of-the-art audio that goes throughout the entire house, but the 28 additional video boards, flat screens. They've got other really big screens as well. All the tournament action will be there, but they're running specials, and they have all kinds of specials like the happy hour prices, half off drinks and appetizers, $12 flatbreads, $10 beer buckets, and $10 pitchers, in addition to just a great menu that they have there at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill at the Finnick. Check it out. It's an upscale sports bar experience. Rambler Sports Bar and Grill at the Finnick, 1630 2nd Avenue South near Railroad Park.
Mississippi State trails Baylor 27-23 at the 6:06 timeout. That game is being played in Raleigh, North Carolina. So far, I know this is going to shock a lot of our listeners, but Hubbard has gone for 14 points already. So 14 of the 23 points for Mississippi State has come off the hands of Hubbard. He is 6 of 10 from the field, 2 of 6 from the three-point arc. Meanwhile, Alabama against Robert Morris, they lead 14-6 with 13:27. Bama shooting 60% from the field. Robert Morris has upped their total now to 23% from 18%. Mo Diabate leads Alabama with 5 points already for the Crimson Tide. Mark Sears has 2 points. He's 1 of 2 from the field. So that gets you updated on what's going on there from Alabama against Robert Morris.
And going back to that Baylor-Mississippi State game, you gave Hubbard's stat line, but they're going to need more guys to be productive from the outside. It can't just be Josh Hubbard. But pretty even matchup coming in. That's what I said. This was one of the more even 8-9s that I saw on the board. And right now it's everything that you thought it would be. And hopefully Mississippi State can make a game of this, keep it close, and have a chance to win there late in that game. But Alabama, what's anything that you can tell? Do you not like the body language? You detecting anything that Auburn fans were sensing in their game yesterday?
No, Mo Diabate, I mean, he is playing a typical hard hat basketball, but right now they're
miss bunnies.
They're up 17-11 over Robert Morris. So Robert Morris has gotten a couple of offensive rebounds and some easy bunnies at the basket. So you know Nate Oates is not going to be happy about that. But I think if you're Alabama, you like the pace of the game. I mean, you're sitting here at 17 points, you know, through the first 8 minutes of the game. So, I mean, you're shooting almost 60% from the field, so you got to feel pretty good about that.
I think they're going to be just fine. You settle into the tournament action. Aiden Holloway looking pretty good.
Yeah, that was well in the NBA range for a three. Definitely shooting the ball better this year than he did down on the Plains.
Pat, Ryan Hennessy said he wants chaos today. He was a little bit underwhelmed with the lack of chaos. Do you see potentially an Akron over Arizona? I know that would screw some brackets up. Anyway, Lipscomb beats an Iowa State.
I like Lipscomb to cover there. I don't like Lipscomb to pull the upset. Iowa State has not played well.
Troy, Kentucky. I know Molly doesn't want to hear it.
I like Troy.
I like Troy, too. That is a skinny number.
You know, very typically, this is what happens. You know, the first day of the tournament, everybody's like, the chalk hole. It's kind of boring. And then all of a sudden, day two, it's just pure chaos.
Not that it would, but what if Florida just came out and just rolled the ball out there? Norfolk State.
Of all teams.
Do you know how messed up my bracket would be?
I mean, I've got them going to the Elite Eight, but.
What, Florida?
Mm-hmm. Remember my Final Four.
Oh, that's right. You brought in outsiders. You didn't go all SEC like I did. You're probably wise to do that.
Bama's up 19-11, 11:33 to go until halftime. We'll update you on that end of the Mississippi State game. We're live at Twin Peaks. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks 94.5. It is 12 noon. Welcome back in on this second day of the NCAA basketball tournament. Pat Smith, Landrum Roberts, Molly Robinson with you until 2 o'clock, keeping you updated on the first two games that have already tipped, including the Alabama Crimson Tide taking on Robert Morris right now. And the Alabama Tide, they lead 19-11 with 11:15 to go in the first half. Bama shooting 62% from the field, 2 of 5 from the three-point arc. Meanwhile, you've got Robert Morris shooting 26% overall from the field. The only thing that might concern you right now from an Alabama perspective is that 8 of the 11 points Robert Morris has scored has come from the paint. So Alabama needs to kind of shore that up a little bit. But so far, you just cannot deny the fact that Alabama is shooting in the mid-50s. That's going to probably bode very well for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, shooting travels, doesn't it? Especially during the NCAA tournament. So for them to do what they're doing here early on, it's good. You tighten things up on the defensive end, and you force Robert Morris into taking some of those lower percentage shots, and they can certainly handle their business and move comfortably in the second round. And the question remains, who are they going to play? Is it a Vanderbilt team they're very familiar with, or potentially a St. Mary's team, Molly, from the West Coast?
Well, Wallace State baseball split a doubleheader at Chattanooga Valley, and they're returning home to host 2 games in Hanceville tomorrow. Meanwhile, Wallace men's basketball begins play Sunday in the NJCAA National Tournament in Hutchinson, Kansas, as they'll face Frank Phillips College. For more information on the Wallace State Lions, go to athletics.wallacestate.edu.
All right, a little bit of concern right now for Alabama as Stevenson has gone down and now he's on the court holding his wrist. He fell awkwardly on it. He was blocked at the goal as he was going up, and he came down.
Ow.
And it looks like he landed and kind of hyperextended the wrist a little bit, I think. Now he's getting up, being helped off the floor. He looks like he's in pretty good pain. He's holding his left wrist. So that is something that you have to be concerned with, because the sophomore has played very well of late. Nate Oates, matter of fact, in most of the press conferences, he has called out Stevenson about playing some of his best basketball. So that is something to watch. You've already got Grant Nelson, who's not playing in this game. Now, he's available to play, but the feeling is that you probably won't see him, or at least only in limited amount of time. And now you've got Stevenson, and they're taking him directly to the locker room.
In real time, and I hate to say it because now we know that it's the wrist. Saw him bump his head and thought maybe it was his head hitting the floor, because he landed hard, and maybe it was just a concussion protocol type of thing. But with the left wrist, we'll wait to see if he's able to come back. But you're right, they did not waste any time in taking him back to the locker room. Meanwhile, Alabama extending their lead.
It is now 24-16 to Alabama as Amori is having – aren't you glad you listened to me on the Prize Picks?
Conrad is much better at giving me this advice. I appreciate you playing along, but Cliff Amori, it was 9 points, and you said no.
He's got 5. We still got time.
But, Pat, there's 30 minutes left for regulation.
Oh, my goodness. So Alabama with an 8-point lead.
You're sabotaging my Prize Picks is what you're doing.
9:25 to go there. Meanwhile, almost halftime in Raleigh, North Carolina, between Baylor and Mississippi State, and this has been back and forth. So many lead changes. Mississippi State's hit 4 of their last field goals, and they trail Baylor 31-30 with 2 minutes and 48 seconds to go until halftime there in Raleigh. The commissioner, Greg Sankey, is there in attendance watching the Bears and Mississippi State. So we'll keep you posted there. We're going to have some other games that's going to be tipping off here in just a little bit, including Texas Tech. Well, take that back. It is actually Lipscomb and Iowa State. That's going to be the next game that will tip off at 12:30. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line is open. 205-834-9450. A ton of Jocks listeners have been able to make it back here into the back with us to watch these games, and we appreciate that very much. We're here at Twin Peaks. They got tons of specials today and throughout the weekend. Any old number 7 Jack Daniels for $6. You can upgrade to Jack Daniels Bonded for $7.50. The food is outstanding here. Yesterday, Molly had the wings. Those were outstanding. I had a good old burger. and just come enjoy the basketball, enjoy the atmosphere. Some great scenic views here at Twin Peaks in Hoover. Bama right now holding on to a lead against Robert Morris in the first round. They're up by 10 now, 28-18. Bama is on a nice little run here. They've hit 4 of their last 4 shots, 63% from the field, Landrum. That number just keeps going up every time they come down the floor.
Yeah, the texts are rolling in, 205-834-9450. Always love your interaction. Someone leading us off, Clemson yesterday killed their bracket. I did not have Clemson. I had them beating McNeese, but I had them exiting.
And you know the number one reason why I didn't have Clemson going very far is because that stat kept sticking in my head that no number 5 seed has ever won the national championship. So even though they could go far, I was not going to give them the opportunity to get deep into my bracket. So I didn't – I'm not saying I had them as an upset yesterday, but I definitely did not have them going very far.
This one rolls in. Hey, Landrum, did you see where Charles Barkley yesterday on CBS picked Florida to win it all rather than Auburn? David from Tuscaloosa, thanks for the text. Yeah, I did see that. I saw as they went through the bracket, and Kenny Smith and Charles filled out their particular brackets. I've got Florida winning the national title too. If you've been watching basketball here in the last couple of weeks, maybe even more than that, Florida's got to be that team. But it's a tournament. It's 6 games. Who knows if they're going to continue that. Johnny asking about our buddy JR who came on. The free pick he gave on the air, he said he loves the over in North Carolina and Ole Miss. And Pat will be dialed into that one, but he said he thinks it goes into the mid-160s, that it's an easy over cover between those two teams, but he thinks they get in the 80s, potentially the 90s. Could you see that playing out? Well, based on the way that North Carolina played the other night, if they shoot it that way.
Yeah, if they shoot it that way, then I don't think there's any question. So we're at the media timeout in Cleveland, 7:39 to go in the first half. Alabama has a 28-18 lead over Robert Morris. The big story, though, is see what Nate Oates tells the media going into the half as Stevenson walked off the floor directly into the locker room. He awkwardly came down. He went up for his shot. He was blocked, and he came down awkwardly on his wrist, and it was his left wrist. And so he was walking off, holding it gingerly, and they just took him directly back into the locker room. So we'll have to wait and see about what they're saying at halftime, Landrum, but that has got to be a concern because Stevenson has played very well for Alabama here in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, all hands on deck, right? You need all of those guys. And how many times have we seen a team make a deep run in an NCAA tournament, and those guys who weren't that productive during the season, they step up their game, they make big shots when they have to. It's happened time in and time out. Josh texts into the show, and he lets us know that according to ESPN, 25,802 out of the 24 million brackets remain perfect, with Creighton actually being the top bracket-busting game from yesterday with 13 million brackets busted from it. Thanks, Josh and Huntsville, listening.
So he's saying that 13 million brackets because of Creighton's win.
Yeah, they had Louisville, apparently.
Okay.
So more than half of the brackets.
Well, don't you remember I told you yesterday, of the 68 brackets that we have in our pool,
yeah,
only 23 people picked Creighton to win. And Justin was one of them as he's flexing. I don't know if you know this, but you are on YouTube. Like, people are watching. Okay.
Yeah. Got to shave the arms if you're going to do that, right? You show off the guns. I had Creighton in one of my brackets. Or two
I
of
had
my
Creighton
brackets.
in one of my brackets. Yeah.
That's why you filled out multiple brackets, right?
That's right. Cover your bases.
Brandon says, imagine the meltdown after Vanderbilt sending Bama home. Oh, let's not say that.
It's called the Diego Pavia effect. It affects all sports.
Bobby, not going to lie, March Madness as an LSU fan is frustrating. Not only are we nowhere close to making the tournament, but our former coach that got fired just won a game in the tourney. That would be Will Wade and McNeese upsetting Clemson yesterday.
Just think if LSU would have kept Will Wade.
I think LSU wanted to keep Will Wade, but they really didn't have an option.
Yeah.
Well, wait, was that the shirt he was wearing yesterday, or did it look like he might have
Put on some weight?
Yeah.
No, I think he's put on some weight.
Okay.
Not that that matters. He's winning games.
He's a heck of a basketball coach.
He can get as big as he wants,
Yeah.
as long as he wins the games.
And he's about to get paid a lot of money to go and coach that team in Raleigh.
Yeah. Speaking of Raleigh, right now in Raleigh, North Carolina, Baylor has a 5-point lead over Mississippi State as they go into halftime. Mississippi State failed to score the final 2 minutes and 10 seconds of the first half. So Baylor heads into the locker room shooting worse than Mississippi State. State is actually shooting better, 46 to 39%. But the big difference in this game so far has been rebounds, as Baylor has out-rebounded Mississippi State for second chance points. So they take the lead into halftime by 5, 37 to 32. Meanwhile, Bama has turned the ball over, and Robert Morris hit a three-pointer, and it is a 28-23 game with 6:42 to go in till halftime. So Alabama still shooting 65% from the field. But, man, Robert Morris is starting to edge. They were shooting around 18%, and so now they've upped that to about 37%. So it's very interesting. It's now a 5-point game, 32-25. It's a 7-point game as we speak.
Well, somebody asked who your favorite pick was today on the text line. I don't know about your favorite pick, but one of your picks for this early game was Robert Morris plus the points. Right?
Yes, that is correct. Yep. Matter of fact, my 2 early plays this morning, if anybody cares, which I know you don't, but if you do, I took Robert Morris plus the points and also took Baylor plus 1 against Mississippi State. So at least in the first half of basketball, those two look decent. But typically that changes. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it does. We will continue to keep you updated on Alabama and Robert Morris. Also, as Pat told you, Baylor and Mississippi State, they've just gone to the half with Baylor leading that game 37 to 32. We got other tips that will be coming up, but it's day 2 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. We're live here at Twin Peaks. We are off to the side room, and it's starting to fill up. And out by the bar in the dining room area, there inside, if you will, Pat, it's already bodies bellied up to the bar. It's a happening place.
It absolutely is, and this is something that we enjoy doing each and every year, coming out here. And this year, obviously, we did it the first 2 days of the tournament. So come on out here. Gringo just arrived. We got PG, we got BB, we got Austin, we got all sorts of our Great Jocks listeners that are out here watching the games, as Bama is only up by 3 right now, Landrum, 32 to 29, as all of a sudden Robert Morris is starting to hit some outside shots, and they were at 18% early on in this game. They are now shooting 43%. They are 3 of 11 from the three-point line, and so Bama holding on to a 3-point lead, 32 to 29.
Look at this greatness walking in here. This gentleman, he bowls against us in a competitive bowling league, and he's one of those guys that can roll near the 300s.
All right. There you go.
If you hear a loud scream, that's Austin. He is going to be one of our vocal listeners that does not care where he is. If things are not going right for Alabama, he will. So FCC have allowed that, right?
So Alabama has just turned the ball over for the 5th time in the first half.
No.
Robert Morris has turned it over 1 time in the first half against Alabama. And as of this moment, with 5 minutes and 5 seconds to go in the first half, Alabama leads Robert Morris 32 to 29. I just want to remind everybody that yesterday Alabama State cut the Auburn lead to 1 with about 3 minutes to go until halftime. And we saw how that ended up. So it's not that Alabama is playing bad. It's just that Robert Morris is starting to hit.
They actually came and are trying. Came to play and they're trying.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're trying, and they're starting to hit shots that they weren't hitting the first 7 or 8 minutes of the game.
What is the best win that this Robert Morris team has this season? Because for Alabama State, they beat that Omaha team that played St. John's by 17 on a neutral floor earlier in the season. I'm just looking at Robert Morris. Competitive game with Villanova to start the season.
Is that it?
They beat Cornell, who was in the championship game of the Ivy League.
Yeah.
Is there another? St. Francis, team we saw the other night. They beat that team by 3.
Well, there's some good news. Jared Stevenson is checking back into the game with his wrist wrapped.
Okay.
So he is back into the game. So that is a good sign for Alabama. Not sure how productive he could be with that left wrist taped up, but that is a good sign for him and for Alabama for him to come back out. As Alabama's holding on to a 3-point lead with 4:11 to go until halftime. As every time Robert Morris attempts to go to the hole, Amori has got an answer for them as Pettiford and Holloway trying to run the offense, and Bama not hitting those 3-point shots. They are currently 3 of 9 from deep. So Alabama's defense trying to shore things up against a pesky Robert Morris team in which they have found themselves. But Alabama, they've hit 7 of the last 9 shots, Landrum, and they now own a 34-29 lead. So 3 minutes and 57 seconds to go until half.
That last air ball, I don't know what that ball slipped. Robert Morris player that just put that one up. Not only was it short, it was off to the right, and it was about a 10-footer. And didn't have a hand in his face.
A 10-foot 3-point jump shot.
It was. Oh! All right, well.
If you're curious.
Apparently, height and athleticism travels in addition to shooting.
I mean, Molly, Landrum did hear me say take Amori over those points, right?
You are
for
such,
prize picks.
so.
You have absolutely sabotaged my first half of my prize picks today.
Didn't I say that, Molly? Didn't I say take Amori?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Molly. Play the
he
tape
was-
back.
Yeah, you don't want that tape
I'll find
to
the
be
clip.
played back. I was going off of Rodney Orr's tip
You're
about
right.
Amori coming up big, and Alabama needed him to make a deep run. And you went totally against Rodney, and look where it's gotten us, or me.
So Amori's got 13 points here in the first half.
And the more or less projection was 9. 9. How many does Phylon
sorry.
have? You're real sure about Phylon.
Phylon has as many points as I do.
Oh my gosh.
0.
Where is Conrad when you need him?
Oh my
We've
goodness!
been on
I'm
this
so
hot
sorry.
streak.
I'm so
Conrad's been
sorry.
giving me great advice, and then Pat today just totally takes a big old.
Well, Amori is 6 of 6 from the field. I mean, how many times have we seen them do the little alley-oop dunk?
Do that every time.
They don't have an answer for that.
No. He could do that with one of those guys on his back.
So Amori, needless to say, he leads Alabama in scoring with 13. Sorry.
Awful.
Bama 7 of 9 shooting.
Great news about prize
Here
picks. We have other
recently.
projections.
Yeah.
And you can play more than once in a day, which I'm going to do now to try to make amends.
So Robert Morris cut it to 3 points, and they haven't scored a point in the last 2 minutes and 7 seconds as we are 3:22 away from heading into intermission with Alabama holding on to a 5-point lead.
All right, Mr. Smarty, I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself. Now, they do have – Prize Picks has second half projections. Clifford Amori, more or less than 4.5 points, second half.
For the second half, more.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
This is going to be fascinating to see if this actually happens.
Go ahead. Click the button. Make it
LeBaron
happen.
Phylon, second half, more or less 6.5 points.
Well, considering he's got 0 right now, I would say more. Trash time.
All right, America, you're listening. More on both of those guys, Amori and LeBaron Phylon.
Wow, you're doing
second
that
half.
much? Go
Yeah.
for it.
Well,
Party at Landrum's tonight, Molly, if he hits this one.
I know it's all about money management, but I was not expecting to not hit
To
on
fall
that
in the
first
hole
one.
there in the first half.
Yeah.
It's a long game, Landrum.
Thanks, partner.
It's a long game. Got to play the long game here.
Play that long game. Marathon, not a sprint.
That's right. So Bama leads 34-29. Just taking a look at some of their they got 24 points in the paint. So 24 of the 34 points have come inside the paint. Most of those coming from Amori. Meanwhile, Robert Morris has 18 points in the paint. Alabama has turned the ball over so far in this game 5 times. Robert Morris, once. It's pretty effective. So far, you've played almost 17 minutes of basketball, and you've turned it over 1 time.
Yeah, but, with the 12 assists, you got to like that if we're going to go assist to turnover ratio. Right now, Alabama at 12-5. So not quite a 3-to-1 ratio, but they're getting there. Plenty of time left. I like the way Alabama was shooting early. But Robert Morris, they've come to play. Who knew?
Well, they're starting to hit those shots that in the first part of the game they weren't. So Mark Sears, 2 points.
So the schools.
Phylon's got none.
The schools with someone's first and last name. You remember James Madison?
George Mason.
George Mason. Help me out. Who else? So could Robert Morris be that team?
Alabama is now up.
St. Peter's.
Yep. St. Francis.
Oh, Fairleigh Dickinson. That's a good one.
Yep. Bama leads 37-31. They're under 3 minutes to go until halftime.
So does that mean St. Mary's later on today?
Mount St. Mary's?
No, just St. Mary's.
Yeah, St. Mary's today. It was Mount St. Mary's the other night.
Well, that one barely even hit the net.
I'm a little bit ahead of what y'all are watching.
All right, I'm going to have to get on your feet. I don't like being behind here.
He's got the wrong feed pulled up, Molly. I'm in the future.
Me too, Pat. I got the future pulled up.
You got the future pulled up?
Of course.
Smart girl. 2:16 to go in the first half. Bama
Smart
leads.
girl has Kentucky in her Final Four.
37-31.
Oh, yeah.
That is what's funny about my Kentucky
sound.
pick, too, is that is the only place I have Kentucky. I just wanted to be different. I didn't want to be the same as you guys, yeah.
Well, for the sake of bragging rights, we don't want you to be the same as us either.
Right. I want to be different.
That's right. And you are, in your own special way.
Thank you.
1:56 to go until halftime. Bama 39-31. So the Tide up by 8. As the Tide looks to improve on this score, and Amori again with a dunk.
Jeez.
He's got 15
He's
points.
just rubbing it in.
He's got 15 points.
And this is exactly what will happen. He'll have 18 points at the break.
And then he won't play the second.
He won't play in the second half. Nate will rest him.
And then you'll lose your prize picks in the second half. That's why you shouldn't gamble. Robert Morris trying to put something together as we're under a minute and a half to go until halftime. Alabama shooting 63% from the
gambling,
field.
Pat. It's projecting.
That's right. Sorry, it's a fantasy game.
That's
My
right.
bad.
Thank you.
Robert Morris, 39% here in the first half. I'll tell you one thing. The officials have let them play. It's unlike an SEC basketball game. A total of 11 fouls have been called.
How about our boy Pat Adams last night?
My gosh.
Right when I saw he was doing that game, what happens immediately? He's got to go over to the scorer's table and review something.
Yeah,
and then make a.
The review has turned in his favorite thing.
Get his 5 minutes of fame there on TV.
It's amazing. But these guys are letting them play, and I like that.
They are. Is TV Teddy? Is he still?
Yes,
he's still
around. He's still around. I guess his association or his confederation or whatever that he refs out of, you just don't see him do a lot of SEC games. So, but no, I actually saw him during championship week. He was calling some games. So 52 seconds to go until halftime. Bama has a 6-point lead, 39-33 over Robert Morris. So Alabama will probably work the clock and get it pretty far down and then, see what they can do.
Josh from Huntsville, he reminds us Brigham Young.
It's a good one.
Boy, BYU looked good yesterday, didn't they?
They did. Looked real good.
I will continue to keep you updated. Alabama and Robert Morris. Closing seconds of the first half. Alabama leading that game by 6. And other games that are about to tip. Another game at half right now. Baylor leading Mississippi State 37-32. Our live coverage live from Twin Peaks here in Hoover continues. Wall-to-wall coverage here on Jocks 94.5. Robert Morris has cut the Alabama lead to 3. 11 seconds remaining in the first half. 2-seed Alabama leading the Colonials. Not the Colonels, the Colonials, 39-36. But the big story is Clifford Amore. And he's having a career day after Pat projected that he would have less than 9 points. He's got double that almost.
He's got 15.
Great.
So Alabama's got a timeout. We've got 11 seconds to go in the first half as Robert Morris has hit a three-pointer to cut the lead to 3. It is they're now 4 of 14 from the three-point arc. And I would think that Alabama's going to drop a play for Cliff Amore here. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that that's probably what they're going to look at trying to do. Considering the fact that he's 7 of 7 from the field. Perhaps. So Bama leads by 3 with 11 seconds to go until halftime. And Baylor with 12:41 to go in the second half, they have a lead over Mississippi State. And 37-32. So we'll keep you posted on that one as well as the Alabama. What do you see, Landrum, when you're watching this Alabama game right now in the first half? I mean, I will give Robert Morris credit. Yeah. I mean, they've hit these outside shots. It's not like they're shooting threes left and right, but it's just they're getting some good open looks.
No, they are. And Robert Morris maybe a little bit more athletic than I thought they were, because you try to compare them against teams that they play in their conference, and then, well, what are they going to look like versus a team versus Alabama? Right now, no. You give it to Robert Morris. This is a team that obviously is focused, ready to play. Not saying that Alabama wasn't, but we talked to, who was it earlier in the week? Was it Haywood we talked to, who was on the call last night there in Denver with Nessler? And what he told us as a former player of a high seed in North Carolina at the time, the coaches can sell it all they want about, hey, if you don't play, but it's hard to look past name on jersey and seed next to name and who these guys have played. Not the case for Alabama, but Robert Morris, at least for a half of basketball, can say that they hung with one of the better teams in the country.
When we come back on Three-Man Front, we'll keep you posted on the halftime stats of Alabama. Robert Morris says Bama is going to have one more opportunity to try to score before the end of the half. Meanwhile, they're getting ready for the second half between Baylor and Mississippi State. Baylor leads that one 37-32. We're live at Twin Peaks. This is Jocks 94.5. All right, they've just gone to halftime in Cleveland, Ohio, where Alabama is holding on to a 4-point lead against Robert Morris. Yes, you heard that right if you just tuned in. Alabama 40, Robert Morris 36. Alabama has shot nearly 61% from the field in the first half, and you're only up by 4 to a team that obviously shot 41%. They're 4 of 14 from the three-point arc, Robert Morris is. Alabama 4 of 10. But the big story in the first half for Alabama is Clifford Amore. He had 15 points. He was 7 of 7 from the field. He had 5 dunks, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 1 steal. So I think he earned his money. Whatever his NIL deal, he is showing out there in Cleveland, Ohio. Now, what is the other issue for Alabama as you're starting to do a deep dive on these stats and these numbers? Well, if you look at Alabama, right now, Philon has attempted 1 shot, Landrum. 1.
Just don't even talk to me.
No points. Mark Sears has attempted 3 shots. He's made 1. He's got 3 points. Chris Youngblood, he's 2 of 4. He's got 5 points. Mo Diabate, he's got 10 points. So
this is eerily similar to Auburn, Alabama State yesterday, where guys that you depend on to carry the bulk of the scoring don't, and then you have a guy like Amore or Miles Kelly step up, which is why these two teams are 2 of the top teams in the country. You got deep benches and plenty of talented players. But Mark Sears, only that number of shots. You got to find ways to get him involved, or he's got to find ways to get involved, because maybe against one of the better teams in the country or a team not named Robert Morris, I would say, well, they're doing everything they can to take away Mark Sears. It's hard for me to rationalize that against Robert Morris. No disrespect, Robert.
So the game tipped off. Alabama was a 22.5-point favorite. As of right this moment, they're a 15.5-point favorite in the second half against Robert Morris. Meanwhile, Baylor and Mississippi State, they have just got back underway there in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Baylor has gotten a point basket, I should say. So they're up now 41-34. We are live at Twin Peaks and Hoover. Come out and see us. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. This is 3-Man Front Live on Jocks 94.5. Welcome back to Twin Peaks. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks 94.5. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. Come on out. Catch the second half of the Alabama game. Bama is up 40-36 right now at halftime over Robert Morris. Meanwhile, Baylor has a 45-39 lead over Mississippi State early in the second half. You know, you need to do something about that tree on your property before it falls on your house or it falls on a car in your driveway. Call Golston Tree Service today, 205-337-4018. Operated by a certified arborist, Golston Tree Service handles the little jobs like trimming hedges or shaping the trees, hazardous jobs like line clearance, and big jobs like complete tree removals with cranes, grinding the stump and roots out, and hauling it off to the last twig. Complete removal. And on top of that, they offer 24-hour emergency storm work service. So many of you, the Jocks listener, you have taken advantage of their expert care when it comes to those trees on your property. Let Golston help you today. Call them at 205-337-4018. Do as so many listeners have done in the past, and that is rely on Golston Tree Service at 205-337-4018. That is Golston Tree Service. Alabama holding on to a 4-point lead at halftime. Clifford Amore, the big story, 15 points, 7 of 7 from the field. Landrum, 5 dunks, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. And Jared Stevenson, he hurt his wrist in the game, and he left and went back to the locker room. He came back out. He played the rest of the second half. It was heavily taped. It was heavily wrapped. So have to keep an eye on that situation with him. We have not seen Grant Nelson in this game yet.
No, and I don't know if Alabama felt like it was going to be super pressing to try to get Grant Nelson against this Robert Morris team, and I expect the Alabama Crimson Tide to pull away in the second half. They should anyways, but Grant Nelson, going through some of the video that we saw with him taking shots from the corner, and I know that you and Conrad talked about it, but my immediate reaction was it looked like maybe the left knee was still a little bit tender when he was trying to come down and having that jump shot. So if you can give him another couple of days of rest, and maybe we see Grant Nelson against Vanderbilt, maybe against St. Mary's. But I would think that whatever number of minutes that Grant Nelson averaged per game this season, it would be probably a decreased workload. Because if it's Grant Nelson, and we know that sometimes he's hit or miss, you need Grant Nelson at close to 100% if he's going to go out there. But hopefully for his sake and Alabama's sake, we're talking about this on Sunday, and Grant Nelson is in the lineup. Another game that's already underway, Lipscomb taking on Iowa State. That's the 3 and 14 seeds, and Iowa State, the early going. They are up on Lipscomb. What are they, the Bison?
Sure.
Yes, they're the Bison.
Iowa State leading.
Is it Bison or Bison?
I don't know. They're up.
I don't know either.
11-5.
There's an Iowa State fan here in Twin Peaks with
Is
a
there?
hoodie on. Yes, he's right out there. Look.
Oh,
See?
wow. Yep.
I don't know if I've ever, in all my years here
No.
in Birmingham, I'm not sure if I've ever seen an Iowa State Cyclone any fan. So they do exist.
Also, some other games that will be tipping in just a little bit. We've got Duke and Mount St. Mary's. We're going to get that one right before we go off the air. Right after we go off the air, you get Vandy and St. Mary's. The winner of that game will play the winner of Robert Morris and Alabama. Memphis and Colorado State about to get going. First round, that's an intriguing 12-5 matchup. Later on today, Ole Miss, UNC, 11 seed UNC, Ole Miss, the 6 seed. And I meant this and not picking at you, Pat, because of your Ole Miss fandom. But I thought seeing that North Carolina team play the way that they played the other night with we got something to prove, I could have picked another opponent that I would want to see if I was an Ole Miss fan rather than North Carolina playing at their best.
Yeah. There's no question about that. North Carolina feels vindicated based on what they did the other night, and I think Ole Miss is going to have a tough game, to say the very least. Talking about this Alabama game, the Tide, they're up 40-36 at halftime, And we mentioned the guard play. The guards are going to have to step up big time here in the second half. Philon has no points. Sears has 3 points. Youngblood has 5 points. Holloway's hit 1 3-pointer. He's got 3. Now, Philon does have 6 assists, and Sears has 4 assists, so it's not like they're not out there being productive. But as far as this offense goes, for a team that's averaging 91 points a game and you've only managed 40 against Robert Morris, that's problematic. So we'll see what happens here in the second half and see if Nate Oates gets their attention. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted chaos, you let Alabama get beat by number 15 Robert Morris. You want to talk about a bunch of brackets being busted. That would be a mess.
That would not bode well for my All-SEC Final Four. What did you think about Tennessee last night against Wofford?
Well, obviously Lanier had an incredible night.
He did.
They went through lulls.
I just wonder if Tennessee fans are having the same takeaway against that Wofford team as a 15 versus the 2 as Auburn fans had against Alabama State. Maybe it makes you feel a little bit better when you start looking around.
Even in that Auburn game yesterday, correct me if you think I'm wrong. Well, you were at a family event yesterday, so you might not have been able to see it. But at no point in time did I think that Alabama State was going to beat them. You know what I mean? Like, even when they pulled within 1 before the end of the first half. I feel the same thing about Robert Morris here.
Yeah. No, it's
not that Alabama has played a terrible first half.
No.
I mean, they've only turned the ball over 5 times, but they haven't forced more than 1 turnover for Robert Morris. But it's a weird game. Bama's got 26 points in the paint. Robert Morris has 22 points in the paint. Both teams are shooting about the same from the 3-point arc. Both teams have hit 4. It's been a weird first half, to say the very least. But Bama shooting 61%. They're shooting 20 percentage points better than Robert Morris, but you're only up by 4 points. That's what I'm saying. It's weird.
Well, ask Purdue 2023 when they were the number 1 seed and they got knocked off by Fairleigh Dickinson 63-58. You're going to have these type of games. You got to survive and advance. That's why I did the deep dive last night into 1 seed specifically after Auburn's outcome with Alabama State. Auburn was a 32-point favorite. They won by 20. Won the game, great, moving on. But how many 1 seeds? I didn't go overall 1 seeds, but how many 1 seeds have maybe looked less than stellar in their opening round games, and how far have those teams gone? Not that translates to this year, but it was very interesting going back to 2023. Alabama is a 1 seed when they played here in Birmingham. Texas A&M Corpus Christi won that game by 21, beat Maryland, I think, in the next game, and eventually they got knocked out in the Sweet 16.
Well, if you remember that,
San Diego State.
If you remember that game against Corpus Christi,
yeah,
it was very similar.
It was.
In regards to halftime, there was a lot of people looking at it going, all right, now what's going on here? You know? But it's like Wim Sanderson told us in hour number 1, if you missed that interview with Coach Sanderson, and he talks about it all the time, you just don't know from a mental standpoint where these teams are when the ball's tipped. You just don't. I mean, you can look at all the 5 stars and all the special guys that they have on their basketball team, and the roster from 1 through 12 easily dwarfs what Robert Morris is. And I'm not saying that Alabama's playing sloppy. It's just an odd game because every statistical category, for the exception of your 3 guards not scoring any points, Alabama should be cleaning the floor with them based on these statistics, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Going back to my deep dive, 2023, Houston was the top seed. Remember that game they had with Northern Kentucky at Legacy?
Yeah, that's right.
They won their next game versus Auburn, handled their business, and then they were beaten by Miami, I believe. They're in the Sweet 16. But it doesn't always hold true. I thought it was interesting. And it also doesn't matter. You've had 1 seeds that have blown out their first round opponent and then gone and stuck it up in round 2. But Wasn't the trend that it was either Molly that gave us the stat, but as far as one seeds being eliminated in the Sweet 16, isn't there a stat out there where we've had at least one that's been eliminated in the Sweet 16 for the past however many years? Thank you so much. That's Gracie. Hoover's Own, thank you.
A double-digit seed has advanced to the Sweet 16 in each of the past 16 tournaments and 37 of the 39 overall. Last year it was number 11, NC State. They were the only double-digit seed to reach the second weekend. Is that the stat?
No, I'm talking about number 1 seeds that have been eliminated in the Sweet 16.
Oh, I
How
thought you were
often
looking
that
at
happens.
Okay.
I thought it was a yearly trend where we've had maybe at least one in so many years that's been knocked out.
We're live at Twin Peaks. Come on by and see us. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. FSU Dave has arrived. A great crowd here at Twin Peaks getting ready to watch the second half of Alabama and Robert Morris. This is Three Man Front live on Jocks 94.5. Second half just underway in Cleveland, Ohio, where Alabama is nursing a 4-point lead right now over Robert Morris. And the big key, I just saw this a moment ago, Landrum, is the fact that Robert Morris has out-rebounded Alabama on the offensive glass 8-3.
Yeah, never saw that one coming.
No, not at all. So Alabama, as the second half gets underway from Cleveland. So kind of message you think Nate Oates had to say to his team there at halftime?
Guys, you better wake up. This team, they came to play, and don't worry about second-round matchups. Go out and play 20 minutes of Alabama basketball. There's no reason. They should have an advantage on the inside, take care of it, and we've got to get Mark Sears involved, which they're going to try to do here early. But why not? Yeah.
Oh, you mean that Amori guy?
Yeah, Amori. I can't even comment on it.
Wait a second. I just told you to take I told you to take the over in the second half.
Pat Smith was dead set when I did prize picks.
I wasn't dead
projection.
set. You just asked me more or less,
9
and I said
points,
less.
And he was just sold that Cliff Amori would not score another point in an Alabama uniform.
I don't think I said that.
And how many did he have at the half? 15?
15
now he's
points.
Got 17.
Now he's got 17.
The good news is that, well, there's a couple of things. Stevenson
looks
back
like his
in the
wrist
game
is okay
with the wrap left wrist, but he can dunk fine with the right. And I took Amori with a 4.5 player projection in the second half, and he's almost halfway there. Yeah, it looks like Robert Morris might come back down to earth. Wide open look from the corner, and they missed that one, Pat.
Yep, they did. But Alabama turns the ball right over. And so,
Wow.
A lot of chaos going on there in Cleveland.
There was.
As we speak.
I thought there was going to be a foul initially. It wasn't. And then on the putback, there was a foul. Thought we were going to get the and one, but the Colonial that was going up for it, cannot call his name right now, or just say number 11 in red, couldn't get it to go. So free throws for Robert Morris and trailing by 6.
10:18 to go in the second half, and Baylor has extended their lead over Mississippi State. It's now 56-47 against Mississippi State. So the SEC currently with a record of 4-3, and unless Mississippi State can turn things around, SEC is going to fall to 4-4. Meanwhile, Alabama with 17:57. They have a 5-point lead, 44-39 against Robert Morris.
Going back to Auburn and their matchup with Creighton tomorrow, and as a 1 seed, could they miss out or get to the Sweet 16? How about this? From 1985 to 2009, that would be 25 years. A total of 13 number 1 seeds failed to reach the Sweet 16.
You said 13?
Correct. From 2010 through last season, that's 14 years. The same total of 13 number 1 seeds failed to reach the Sweet 16. So in each of the last 4 years, 11 of the last 14 has seen a 1 seed get bounced in the first or second rounds. It says here you can nearly always bank on at least one double-digit seed reaching the Sweet 16. Of course, it's happened 16 straight years, and in 37 of the 39 tournaments since expansion.
Interesting. Very interesting. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, Alabama, a 5-point lead, 44-39, 17:20 to go in the basketball game.
Bodies flying all over the floor.
Baylor, 56-47 over Mississippi State. So, other big key is Robert Morris. They have 6 points off of Alabama turnovers. Alabama, no points off of Robert Morris turnovers. So, Alabama now up 46-42. So that 4-point lead that Alabama had at the half, that's where we currently stand at 16:47.
Baylor leading Mississippi State 56-48, 9:24 to go in the second half of that one. And Iowa State, the 3 seed on top of Lipscomb, 27-16, under 8 to play in the first half of that game. More to come live at Twin Peaks and Hoover. Hour number 4 this tournament Friday. 3-man front and Jocks 94.5.
One more hour to go from Twin Peaks. Meanwhile, Alabama, 15 minutes and 44 seconds away from advancing to the second round of the NCAA Tournament. It's been an interesting game, Landrum. Alabama currently a 5-point lead over Robert Morris, 49-44, as Alabama's still shooting very well from the field at 60%, but Robert Morris hit another three-pointer. They're now 5 of 16 on the afternoon. Bama 5 of 14 from behind the three-point arc. And so right now, Bama had that 4-point lead at halftime, and now it's 5, 49-44.
Yeah, and not having, I know that Mark Sears, he was able to knock down a shot from the outside, but him being that guy right now on the stat sheet that's carrying the load, LeBaron Philon, you expected to maybe see a little bit more, but it's the guys that you really didn't suspect coming into this game, like Amori, all kidding aside, and how Alabama's used him. But you got to get stops, and right now I do give some credit to Robert Morris, but I think Alabama maybe not as dialed in as they should be on the defensive end of the floor. You think that's fair? Fair assessment?
Yeah, I think that's
Without
very
being critical
fair.
of Robert Morris.
No. One thing is for sure, you've had Amori and you've had Diabate. Diabate's had a really good game. He's up to 14 points already for Alabama. He is 6 of 7 from the field, and he's only got one rebound.
Getting out-rebounded for Alabama, that's inexcusable against this team.
Yeah. Robert Morris has 23 rebounds. Alabama's got 20. So that will not set well with Nate Oates, but Bama currently with a 7-point lead with under 15 to go in this one from Cleveland. So, meanwhile, Mississippi State, they're trying to mount a comeback against Baylor. Baylor, last check, I think they were up by 6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, it's 8, 60-52. And Alabama. And also the other thing I've noticed, and maybe it's just a situation where, Robert Morris has presented some problems, but Alabama's just not really been running their offense, so to speak.
Yeah.
Trying to get a shot up every 10 seconds. They just have not been very fluid offensively, in my opinion. But they have been able to run that half-court offense with Cliff Amori and Mo Diabate.
This is just, it's a stat, it's just weird. But right now, a total of 7 free throws have been shot in this game. And we still got almost 15 minutes left. But the referee's swallowing the whistle because they have had opportunities to call fouls.
Well, Alabama's not used to that. I mean,
we've seen less egregious get
you
called.
play in the SEC, and you're going to have at least 40 fouls called in every SEC contest. The SEC led America in the most fouls called this year at any conference.
The Pat Adams games.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, last night.
That was terrible.
There were a couple of phantom calls. They've been letting them play, and then in crunch time when the game gets close, Pat Adams decides he's going to start blowing that whistle.
14:38 to go. 14:18 to go, and Alabama a 7-point lead, 53-46 against Robert Morris. Mark Sears only 6 points today. Cliff Amori, the big story, 17 points for Alabama. Holloway has now up to 5 points on the day.
Well, the good news is Alabama, you hang on to win, and who knows what the final, they might end up pushing this out and covering, but you got stuff to work on. Maybe this is one of those, hey, wake up, guys. The opponents, the competition only get better after this. But Alabama's turned it up defensively, and for a Robert Morris team that only had 2 turnovers at the break. But then Alabama going right back down the floor. Can't get any kind of flow.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you were so used to seeing this Alabama offense and the way they percolate and get up and down the floor, and they just have not been able to get any of that fluidity going, with their offense.
Just when you think they're about to make one of those runs and they're going to extend the lead and maybe run away with it, it's a boneheaded either shot selection
or a turnover
at the other end of the floor. And Robert Morris is hitting big shots when they need to. They did in the first half, some timely threes. They're not setting the world on fire. 19 of 48 from the field, 5 of 17 from outside.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think they've gone about the last 3+ minutes without a field goal. But like you said, Alabama, if they would have converted instead of turning the ball over and missing a couple open looks, this thing right now could be at least a 12 to 13-point lead by Alabama. Instead, Bama is up 53-46 with 13:09 to go. 5:42 to go in Raleigh, and Mississippi State has cut the lead to 6. Baylor now leads the Bulldogs 63-57 with 5:30 to go there in Raleigh.
Need Mississippi State. I had Baylor in a couple of my brackets. I don't know about you. Did you have Mississippi State moving on?
I think I had them in one of my brackets, but like you, especially in those 8-9 games, I think I pretty much split them up on my brackets. You know, one I would take the 9, the other one I would take the 8. FSU Dave just came over here, and we were talking about his bracket. And
is it gone now?
No, he's doing pretty well. And you know why? Is because, and it's very smart, he was telling me and Justin how he basically, anytime that he was going against an SEC team, because he figured that most people in the bracket, being SEC homers like you, would always pick the SEC team. So,
well, there's only 4 that I'm concerned with, and that would be Alabama, Auburn, Florida, and Tennessee, because I'll continue to pick up points if they don't get eliminated. Some of these they're inconsequential. Welcome to the game, FSU Dave.
So Alabama has now extended their lead out to 10. It is 56-46 with 12:39 to go. Alabama has hit 4 of their last 5 shots, and Robert Morris wants a timeout. So with 12:39, Nate Oates maybe cracking a little bit of a smile, maybe.
That wasn't a smile.
Was that Darian Reed that hit that 3-point shot? Matter of fact, it was.
Hey.
He's got 7 points. He is 3 of 3 from the field, so Darian Reed makes an appearance and hits a big 3-pointer, as you probably heard the crowd here.
Earning his money.
Yep, heard the crowd here at the wonderful Twin Peaks in Hoover, making that 3-pointer, 56-46. Hey, speaking of money, I saw an article this morning that Louisville is prepared for their basketball team this next year to go north of $10 million on the roster.
Whoa.
$10 million.
Was this announcement made after the loss yesterday?
Well, I guess they probably went to those boosters and said, "Hey, look, if you don't want to get beat by Creighton again, you're gonna have to up the giving."
Something.
I mean, they go north of $10 million. I mean, because we've been told prior to the season what Alabama was about 6.5.
Yeah, that was the report coming out. Now, that was prior to Arkansas and whatever they're paying.
Now, Arkansas is supposed to be the most, right?
Yeah.
In the SEC?
Yep. But I got a feeling that it's just like college football. All of these NIL budgets are going up because the market's not stabilizing.
Yeah.
Right now, Baylor leading Mississippi State under 4 to play in that one, 67-60. Bears on top.
So what do you think? Watching the first 7.5 minutes of the second half with Alabama, any concern?
No.
In your eyes?
No. Doing what they should do. And for my sake, hopefully Alabama can run away with this one and cover the points, since you
so you want me to
love
lose?
Robert Morris plus the points, but yeah, I wouldn't mind you losing this one.
And it's all because I told you
how
to take.
How many does Amori have in the second half?
2.
He's just still sitting on 2.
Yeah, but he had an easy lob a minute ago.
He did.
He dropped it. Wasn't my fault.
He's not used to scoring that many points.
What is the? What did you say?
He's tired.
Is it 6 points here in the second half? Is that the?
No, it was 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah, he needs a 3 or a basket and an and one or a couple of baskets.
Now, something that you pointed out during a few minutes ago, Alabama has turned up the intensity on defense.
Yeah.
Robert Morris had 1 turnover in the first half. They're up to 6 in the game. So Alabama's forced 5 turnovers, hence the reason why Alabama's up by 10.
The staggering statistic, and you can update yours, but the offensive rebounds, where Robert Morris had an 11-3 edge on the offensive glass.
Yeah, it's still pretty significant. Rebounding, they're out-rebounding Alabama by 3. So Alabama currently up by 8 with 12:18 to go from wonderful and beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. As the Tide, they try to advance to potentially play either Vanderbilt or St. Mary's with a win.
And was it Rocco that told us St. Mary's, because of that system, would be the tougher matchup for Alabama because of they don't allow teams to get out in transition. They're actually the best in the country, and now not allowing transition points.
Well, I'll say this right now.
Robert Morris
has
done a pretty good job of that, aren't they?
They've done a really nice job. But let's also admit, I mean, it's just like in the first half yesterday. You're not taking anything away from Alabama State. But when you go in those type of games, these teams, they have absolutely nothing to lose. Zero.
No.
They can go out and they can just play, footloose and fancy free, and they can just go after it. And that's what Alabama State did, and obviously the cream typically rises to the top, and that's what happened with Auburn and Alabama State. And right now, Alabama is holding on to a 6-point lead, 56-50, as Alabama continues to turn the ball over.
This is a prime example. Alabama, you get it out to 10, and then what do? You have bonehead plays, not getting on the glass. That guy just looked like named the best, most athletic power forward you can think of in a follow-up jam. And it's quick catch and shoot. Nobody underneath the goal for Alabama for an offensive board. And then Robert Morris gets to go and fire up a 3, and then who's there?
And they're
a Robert
make a
Morris
two-pointer
player
right here.
Yeah. And you get second chance points. That's why Alabama's struggling.
56-52 in a matter of seconds. You have Alabama, a 10-point lead has now been lowered to 4. And we're just above 10 minutes to go in this basketball game. Robert Morris not going away. They're in a 6-0 run against Alabama. And Alabama gets a big turnover going the other way as Robert Morris commits a foul. So very interesting. Meanwhile, in Raleigh.
Oh, you think? I'm not going to even say it.
Baylor is holding on 67-62. So it's going to be quite a finish here on three-man front as we get ready with 10 minutes and 53 seconds to go from Cleveland, Ohio, as Alabama holding on to a 4-point lead. That's what the score was at halftime. Alabama led Robert Morris by 4, so both teams have tied themselves here in the second half. We're live at Twin Peaks. Got games on everywhere. Great food, great drinks. Come on out. They will be wall-to-wall all night long here in Hoover. This is Three Man Front live on Giants 94.5. 10 minutes to go in Cleveland, Ohio. Alabama 58, Robert Morris 54. It is a 4-point game, and now it's a 2-point game, 58-56.
Logo 3 from Sears, and then saving it inbound underneath the basket, run out dunk for Robert Morris. It's kind of been the story.
So 9:35 to go in this basketball game, and Bama leads 60-56. So we'll keep you posted there.
Well, congratulations to you on your pick for Robert Morris to cover, because it looks like they will.
Never know.
Wow.
Let's go to the phones, 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Don, who is joining us from Biloxi. I know it's pretty crazy down there right now, Don. Hope you're well.
Hey, guys. How you doing? I'm in we walked up to the Golden Nugget because they got a better sports book, Pat. It's called it's a DraftKings sports book here at the Golden Nugget. And they do a great job. I got all kind of Mobile Alabama fans in here, and they're like us yesterday, Pat. They're nervous. And I thought we played like crap yesterday too.
Well, you might have said that in the first half, but y'all righted the ship there in the second half. Meanwhile, Alabama just cannot let Robert Morris get out of the rearview mirror. It is now 62-58. Bama up by 4 with under 9 minutes.
Yeah, matter of fact, Pat Landrum, the over/under for the second half in the Alabama. The spread was 11.5 Alabama in the second half, and now they're back to a 4-point lead. They don't look like they're going to cover that either.
Well, hopefully you were wise with your investment.
No, buddy. I lost every bet I made on Auburn yesterday, buddy, and I had Alabama 12.5 in the first half. I got the over/under on the Memphis game in the first half at 68, and I did win the over/under on the first half of the Mississippi State game.
Well, a lot of your friends are here at Twin Peaks. You got PG, you got BB, you got obviously Gringo, you got Austin, you got FSU Dave. All the fine folks are here. Wish you were here, Don.
Yeah, hey, do me a favor, Pat and Landon. Tell FSU Dave that the ACC had 4 teams and everything. Now there's only 2 left. Okay, make sure you tell him that from me. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell him. He's listening on his
right, guys,
table right now.
I'll see everybody else. Okay, well, I'll see everybody on Tuesday. And I know I'm not supposed to be there at 11:30, so I won't come early. Okay.
All right, Don. Safe travels. Good to hear from you. Don giving us a call from the DraftKings sports book there in wonderful downtown Biloxi, Mississippi. Bama up by 2 with 7:44. So, Landrum, you weren't worried about 7 minutes ago.
No. I expected Alabama to find their way a little bit, but Robert Morris not going away. Alabama's not doing themselves any favors. One thing Nate Oates is going to say, regardless if they win or lose, is now you'll get an and one from Robert Morris. But
he knows Grant Nelson's in the game.
Yeah, he's going to talk about intensity, focus, sharpness. It's going to be a 2.0 of a lot of what we got from Bruce Pearl yesterday. Meanwhile, in Raleigh, North Carolina, Mississippi State,
1 point game.
You had a missed 3, but a foul called. 1 point game as Baylor leads the Bulldogs. That 8-9 matchup, a 12-5 matchup. Colorado State, the 12 seed, that was a popular pick amongst a lot of folks. Right now, 11-13 to play in the first half of that one. They are tied with Memphis, the champions of the American Athletic Conference, at 15. Iowa State and Lipscomb are at the half still, 40-24 there. But if you're St. Mary's or Vanderbilt, and you're getting ready to play this game and then thinking about potentially, if the upset did happen, facing Robert Morris in round 2 of the NCAA tournament.
So I'm sitting here looking at a live line for Alabama game.
What is it?
Alabama is currently a 6.5 point favorite. And if you feel froggy and you think Robert Morris, okay, let's go ahead and lay a couple shilling on them.
I'll lay on something on 6.5.
That is minus 118. But if you want to go on the money line, if you want to go Robert Morris, it would pay you plus 410. So let's just say you were to put $5 down, you're going to win 20. If you think Robert Morris is going to pull the shock of shocks.
Yeah, David from Coleman, he texts into the show and he says, really, Bama? It's Robert Morris. Aren't they the cigarette company or the kid from Saved by the Bell?
That would actually was Philip Morris,
yeah, it was.
not Robert Morris. And
I
it was Zach Morris,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
This one rolling in, and it says, FYI, we all love hearing two Bama haters call this game. And it was laughing, crying emoji. You're welcome, whoever you are. We don't hate Bama. I do hate the fact that I didn't see Amori going off in the first half with my point projections.
Yeah, that pig commercial is already.
My trusty sidekick, Pat, here. I asked for his advice. It was solicited, and he gave me his opinion, and it just happened to be wrong.
Well, Robert Morris is going to the free throw line with 7 minutes and 44 seconds to go in this basketball game. They can cut it to 1. And Amarin Dickerson, he's got 23 points. 23 points for the Colonials.
If I was Robert Morris and they won this game somehow, my T-shirt for the second round would be Robert Morris. We make more than cigarettes. We make champions.
Well, he made his free throws, so Alabama's lead is 1. 64-63.
Somebody asking how old that Squealing Pig commercial is. I don't know. I did not remember the Squealing Pig until yesterday. I think I haven't heard that commercial in 2-3 years. I guess it's catchy. I can't tell you who the pig commercial is. Who's the company that's tied to the pig commercial?
I think it's an insurance company.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, he's having a game, man. This Dickerson guy. He just put one of Mark Sears' shots about 10 rows up.
Yeah, he sent that to Buckhorn High School.
He's got 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks, including that one.
That's New Market, right?
Yep.
Sparkman's Harvest and Buckhorn's New Market?
I think that's right. Robert Morris has just taken the lead against Alabama.
Wow.
So with 6 minutes and 50 seconds to go in this basketball game, Robert Morris, a 21-point underdog to Alabama, is beating them 65-64.
Damian Mitchell here. And you got a lot of Alabama-concerned fans as Grant Nelson misses one at the other end, and Robert Morris can add to the lead. A corner three, no good by the Colonials, and a nice rebound for Alabama. Oh. And Sears just got popped in the back of the head.
Sure did.
Now, if Pat Adams was calling this game, they'd review it for an F1.
Or an
potentially
F2.
An F2.
I don't think that was.
No, that was. Has anyone done a wellness check on Conrad?
Conrad's been texting me over the last couple minutes. It's either Conrad or his wife texting.
In the comments, now I know why Rodney stays entertained on Tighter Insider during games. I thought Bama football pissed me off. This is painful. Crimson Convict. Thank you, man.
It's 66-65 Alabama with a 1-point lead with 6:17 to go in the basketball game. As Grant Nelson is the one that puts Alabama back on top.
One knee, fighting through it. Robert Morris, what's that rebounding edge look like now?
Robert Morris has 35 rebounds. Alabama has 26.
Goodness gracious.
That's the story of the game. You're being out-rebounded. 5:55 to go, and Bama is now up by 3, 68-65. Give me some real-time updates with 5:44. Meanwhile, 29 and a half seconds to go, and Mississippi State trails Baylor by 1, 73-72. So we got all sorts of action going on here live from Twin Peaks. When we come back, we should be a little bit closer to the finality of this Alabama game as they're up 68-65, 5:18 to go. This is Jock's three-man front live from Twin Peaks. This is three-man front on this second day of the NCAA basketball tournament. We are live at Twin Peaks, and needless to say, Landrum, there's a lot of nervous people here in this restaurant right now with Alabama holding on to a 70-65 lead over Robert Morris.
Yeah, and the officials going over to review Aiden Holloway, who had tied up a player underneath the basket prior to the break. Now, Robert Morris is going to have 2 free throws. The question was there any intentionality, if you will, from Aiden Holloway as far as the F1 official coming over to the scorer's table and relaying the message to the crowd. But under 5 minutes to play, looked like that's just going to be a common foul after review. Think that's a really good call. Also thought that even Mark Sears getting hit as the players coming from behind didn't think that was flagrant. Turns out these officials, they officiated a little bit different than we get from certain crews in the SEC.
No doubt.
Pat Adams, both of those players would have been arrested.
Meanwhile, Mississippi State had a good look at a three-point shot that could have tied it against Baylor. It was not Hubbard, by the way. And Hubbard actually gave the ball up, and it was no good. So with about a half second to go, Mississippi State needs a miracle now as they're down 75-72. So the SEC would fall to 4-4 in the NCAA tournament if Baylor is able to hold on with this win. Alabama, meanwhile, they lead 71-66 against Robert Morris with 4:37.
All right, so we've seen enough. No matter the outcome, assuming Alabama wins this game, how much pause does this give you about Alabama moving forward?
I'll be completely honest with you, none.
Okay.
And the reason why is because what we're seeing today, unfortunately for Alabama basketball, that's what we have seen for the majority of the season. Too many inconsistencies. That's another reason why, I'm just being honest, I did not have them in the Final Four because of the fact of what you're seeing today against Robert Morris. And no matter who you're playing in the second round, if you're able to hold on here and get this win, you know, St. Mary's creates quite a problem for Alabama, in my opinion, in the second round. Just like I think Creighton's going to give Auburn a potential tough game tomorrow. So,
Crimson Convict texts in. He says, you think Robert Morris is putting on a glass clinic? Check out St. Mary's ranking and rebounding percentage this season.
I got a feeling that he's probably going to tell us that they block out really well.
They do a lot of things really well. They're not super flashy. But system basketball works, and that's why the Gales are constantly in the conversation. How many years where it was just a kind of a two-team show between they and Gonzaga, and playing on the West Coast. St. Mary's was a better team. Gonzaga got them there in the championship game. But I think that was probably, arguably, St. Mary's worst game that they played this year. But they're going to have their hands full with the Vanderbilt squad. You don't think Mark Byington's got that team ready? Or how long has it been since Vanderbilt's been to an NCAA tournament?
Been a minute.
Yeah, they got dudes.
4:15 to go. And Alabama, a 6-point lead, 72-66. And unfortunately, Mo Diabate has a problem shooting free throws. But the good news for Alabama is that Dickerson, who's having a career game with 25 points, just fouled Grant Nelson.
Yeah, that was interesting. Nelson went up, and Dickerson kind of hip-checked him as he was midair, and then Nelson hit the ground.
Mark Sears, 12 points for Alabama. Meanwhile, Amori has been off the floor for a while. Amori's got 17 points. Diabate has 16. Mark Sears has 12.
And it's final. Another team from the SEC has been eliminated. Now 4-4 throughout the tournament. Baylor, the 9 seed, knocks off Mississippi State 75-62 in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Let's just say that Grant Nelson and Mo Diabate, they have missed the front end of 1-1s, and the people here at Twin Peaks not pleased at all about the Alabama free throw shooting today, which is 4 of 9. And just another situation, Landrum, where Alabama had an opportunity to extend the lead. And
just set up your offense.
Just a bad pass by Grant Nelson. But 3:24 now, and Bama has an 8-point lead, 74-66 over Robert Morris.
Robert Morris petering out just a little bit as they can knock down any shots from behind. They had some clutch threes in the first half. But now Alabama, Mark Sears.
Doing what Mark Sears does.
Yep. Drives to the basket. High percentage shot. Actually running the offense and giving it to your scorer. Who thought that could be a recipe for success?
That's a good plan, is it not?
Yeah.
All right, so let's set the stage of what has taken place already. Baylor has just beaten Mississippi State 75-72. So as of this moment, the SEC currently 4-4 in the NCAA basketball tournament. Mark Sears is going to go to the free throw line when they come out of this media timeout with 3:24. Bama's up by 8. So if Sears knocks down that free throw, it would be his 15th point of the game. He is 3 of 4 from the free throw line so far. Bama has hit 4 of their last 5 shots from the field. Meanwhile, Robert Morris, Landrum, they have not scored a field goal in the last 3 minutes and 46 seconds, 0 for their last 6.
Things to work on, man. Things to work on for Alabama.
Getting that ballroom in the hotel and
survive
do a walkthrough.
Oh, man, I'm talking about sprints after the game.
Downtown Cleveland,
hey,
on the lake.
They got tested early. And there's two theories of thought there, right? Where you get tested early kind of wakes you up and you're dialed in for game number 2. Or maybe this is, as Pat said, the Alabama team that he expected to see.
Well, I didn't expect. No, not at all. I just meant the inconsistencies with this Alabama basketball team. That's all. That when they play the Alabama offense, I mean, if the game ended right now, they are 17 points below what their average is on the season of scoring. They're the highest scoring team in college basketball.
Yep.
And Robert Morris has held you to 74 points in almost a full game.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Bruce Pearl, Auburn, we talked to Ryan Hennessy. They're having their practice and kind of their shoot-around today as they get ready for Creighton. Bruce Pearl meeting with the media and saying you've just got to make shots. Creighton does such a great job of verticality. Our first shot offense has got to be great. Auburn opening up last night as a 9.5-point favorite. I saw this morning the line had moved to 8.5. Just interesting from a Vegas perspective where they see that game. And I'm assuming that there will be a lot of people that take the Blue Jays and those points coming up tomorrow night.
So Grant Nelson, who entered the game about 5 minutes ago, he has played 5 minutes, 2 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 steal. So as Alabama was fighting for its postseason life, in comes Grant Nelson, and he's given them a little bit of a spark here. So Bama currently with a 75-68 lead with 3 minutes and 13 seconds left. So Bama up by 7. And the Tide trying to hold on here and advance to the second half. And I think it's going to start coming down to where Robert Morris is going to have to start fouling Alabama because these opportunities to score late in the game is going to be at a optimal for Robert Morris. So we'll see if they start sending Alabama to the free throw line. As we're down to under 3 minutes now with Bama up by 7, 75-68.
Meanwhile, the 5-12 matchup, Memphis and Colorado State. Memphis leading that one 31-28, 3:35 to play in the first half. Iowa State, the 3 seed on top of Lipscomb, the 14, 46-30, under 16 minutes to play in the second half of that game.
We mentioned this a few moments ago, but Mississippi State, they fall by 3, 75-72 to the 9th seed Baylor. So the Bears advance. The Big 12, they get a big win against the SEC. But let's just be honest here with these free throws down the stretch, Landrum. That's an area that concerns me for Auburn. They have not shot the ball very well at all the last 2 games, including Janai Broome. But Chris Youngblood just knocks down 1 of 2 free throws. And Bama finds themselves up by 9, 77-68 with 2:35 to go in the game. So you like Alabama's chances to try to close this out, being up now by 9 with 2:35.
That's going to be a tough cover as a 22-point favorite. But Youngblood looked good on those free throws.
Yeah.
I like the protective glasses.
It's just amazing.
That should do it.
When you start looking at these, statistics and the things that's going to jump out. Robert Morris, 38 rebounds. Alabama, 33. Robert Morris, one of their last 9 from the field. So Alabama's defense has definitely clamped down here in the closest stages of this game. We're going to go ahead and take our final break of the afternoon, and when we come back, we should be able to close out this Alabama win against Robert Morris. Mississippi State loses today. They are out of the tournament. SEC currently 4-4. Bama needs the win to get the SEC back above 500. This is Three Man Front. We're live at Twin Peaks here on Jocks 94.5. Welcome back to Three-Man Front on this Friday. Reminder, we've got a great lineup that you'll be able to hear tomorrow right here on Jocks 94.5. It starts at 11 a.m. Purdue's going to take on McNeese. St. John's in Arkansas at 1:30. At 5:30, the Auburn Network's coverage of Auburn versus Creighton. And then we'll have a whip-around coverage from Westwood 1. That will come after the Auburn-Creighton game. Meanwhile, 1 minute and 50 seconds to go in Cleveland, and Alabama with a 12-point lead, Landrum, 83-71 over Robert Morris. And it's pretty interesting because Robert Morris actually went ahead 65-64. They've scored 6 points, and Alabama has rolled off almost 20.
Yeah, and you ask yourself, how did the game get this way if you have not been able to follow it? And Robert Morris came out. They were able to rebound. Alabama being the number 1 team in the country when it comes to rebounds per game, but Robert Morris has held their own. Alabama, some uncharacteristic, kind of undisciplined approaches on the offensive end. And Robert Morris, give him credit, not intimidated. The officials letting both teams play for much of this game. That's a recipe for success, but now just talent taking over and Alabama stretching the lead here in the waning moments.
Well, I mean, not to mention the fact that Alabama, Mark Sears has put up 16 points in the second half. 16.
That's what you had to have.
Yeah. Mo Diabate has had 6 in the second half. Darian Reed's had 5. I don't know what's happened to Clifford Amori, because he had an incredible first half.
I'll tell you what happened, Pat Smith.
Yeah, it was the kiss of death right there. Alabama, a 10-point lead with 1:46 to go as Robert Morris takes a timeout after a couple free throws. So Alabama, a 10-point lead with 1:46. As you can tell that some of the Robert Morris players, some of this may be sinking in a little bit. Meanwhile, Iowa State, they lead Lipscomb 55-30. Memphis, almost halftime, they lead Colorado State 35-31. That was another one of those games, Landrum, that a lot of people I know nationally had Colorado State potentially pulling an upset. Memphis is just so good. I mean, their roster is very, very deep. It was going to take a very special day for Colorado State to knock them off. But right now, it is just a 4-point game as they're heading almost to halftime. But Bama right now, a 10-point lead, 83-73. So if you're moving forward, if you're an Alabama fan, Landrum, what are you concerned with anything about this game, or was it pretty much like, hey, they went out, they did what they did, they got the W, and you move on?
I mean, you move on, you're happy about it. But, yeah, I think there's things to be concerned with. I am one that, a lot like you, some of the things that have plagued this Alabama basketball team throughout the season continue to be an issue. I didn't think rebounding would be an issue today, but it has been. You just wonder, when do they meet that team? A lot like Auburn and Creighton. Is it going to be Vanderbilt? Is it going to be St. Mary's? That they're not able to come back. They fall behind, or they play like that, and then all of a sudden you look up and talent doesn't take over, or you're too far back. I don't know. I think there's plenty to be concerned with. But ultimately, you'd be a lot more concerned and just downright sick and probably ruin the rest of your NCAA tournament had Robert Morris pulled off a 15-2 upset. It's a new day. You kind of reset. It's all about matchups. What if Vanderbilt comes out today and beats St. Mary's, a Vanderbilt team that you handle your business against, you're very familiar with? The scouts shouldn't be that tough. Players know each other. They played against each other. If I'm Alabama, I'm pulling for Vanderbilt today. Because St. Mary's, it's just the unknown. The style of basketball, the system, all of that stuff, the discipline that they play with, that could be problematic for Alabama.
Well, Mark Sears just traveled, and then Robert Morris got a quick basket, and so now they just will not go away. It is 83-75 with 1 minute and 12 seconds to go in this basketball game. So the Colonials, they have played a well of a basketball game, and they are fighting to the very last moment as they find themselves only down by 8 as the clock is ticking, trying to get under a minute as Alabama continues to find themselves in a problematic situation trying to close this out as they have turned the ball over again. That's now 12 turnovers on the afternoon for Alabama.
What was the year that the Big East sent 11? Was it 2013?
2011.
2011?
Yeah.
We had Chris G. He texted into the show, and he said the year that they got the 11, then at the time it was a record number of teams from one conference. What was their record? Because right now the SEC, Alabama win. SEC will be 5-4 so far through the first round of this tournament, and I'm going back to look and see how many of those teams.
Meanwhile, they're going to the monitor. Chris Youngblood threw a kind of a Hail Mary pass down to Mo Diabate, and the ball was tipped. They ruled that Robert Morris was the last one to touch it, and I believe that's what they will be able to confirm. But they're just double-checking everything since it's under 2 minutes. Of course, Robert Morris hoping that it's going to be their ball, but instead I believe they will confirm the call, and Alabama will take over on the end line underneath Robert Morris's basket, 83-75.
Does this get the Robert Morris head coach a new job?
I don't know. Perhaps.
Wow, I'm going back to 2011 in this first four. Yeah, UAB took on Clemson that year. We had Alabama State there.
Are you trying to look to see how many teams made the Final Four?
No. I'm trying to see what the record was of the Big East that year through the first round.
Through the first round.
Obviously, UConn won it. And now remembering who was a part of the Big East at that time.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. Maybe FSU Dave knows. I think Syracuse was still a member in Pittsburgh. Are they in the tournament?
I'm sure they probably were. All right, so far, Georgetown lost in their opening round game that year. St. John's lost in their opening round game that year. Yes, and I think Pittsburgh, they were a part of it.
Pittsburgh, Notre Dame, Louisville, Syracuse, St. John's, West Virginia, Cincinnati. Yeah, Villanova, Marquette.
They lost in the first round that year versus George Mason.
I forgot how big the Big East actually was that year. That's crazy.
You had Xavier and Marquette.
They had 16 teams that year. 16 teams playing basketball.
Right. Syracuse won their first. But, yeah, just going through it and not enough time to do a deep dive. It didn't look like the Big East had a banner first round. Thanks, Chris. We appreciate the text.
Well, the good news for Alabama fans is that Dickerson, the number one player that has poured in 25-plus points, he has fouled out of the game. Grant Nelson hits 1 of 2 free throws.
Come on, Grant Nelson. You're better than that. They're free. I know.
So Alabama holds a 9-point lead with 54 seconds left. And Robert Morris just missed a three-pointer that Alabama rebounded. So now Bama will go back to the free throw line with a 9-point lead with 45 seconds
Our
left.
Alabama fan club right in front of us, they've calmed down just a little bit.
They have. They
now
got a little
they've settled
nervous.
in. Some of them actually ordering food now.
Yeah, Damian was a little worried. He had turned his hat around backwards. He was worried that something was going to happen, but
wow, what a week. And still plenty of basketball. And coming up Monday, we're going to have Reaction Monday. We will know the field of the Sweet 16, Alabama and Auburn. How many other SEC teams are going to be there? Great time of year. This has been a great time at Twin Peaks. We appreciate our friends here in Hoover.
No doubt about it. And wall to wall, these TVs will be blaring all day and all night long. Great food, great, obviously, specials on beer and other drinks. So make your way to Twin Peaks over the next couple days and enjoy a full weekend of basketball. For Molly Robinson, Conrad Van Order, my partner Landrum Roberts, I'm Pat Smith, wishing all of you guys a great weekend. Keep it tuned right here to the Paul Feinbaum Show. And, of course, All the tournament updates brought to you by Westwood One Radio. This is Jocks 94.5. Have a great weekend.